let's get some alpha male energy back in America and get rid of this beta
Well,
cuckery,
I was
whatever that
actually
is.
talking about that on my show earlier today, and about how the actually what's really makes me happy right now is the at least in the people that I interact with, the youth, especially the young men, are way more conservative than they have been, and it's growing. Like they don't like this being lied to. They don't like, kids don't like to be lied to anyway, but they really don't like the rhetoric that's coming out. They understand bullshit when they hear it, and they look at they're looking at their older peers, right? And they're looking at these blue-haired wussies, right? That don't make any sense. And I've heard it said that Gen Alpha is like Gen X without the rule book, right? Like they don't have parents that can control, or most of them don't have parents that can control them. So they're going to be like Gen X, only like worse, unfettered, if you will. And I think that I'm very much heartened by the youth. And I keep telling, on my show today, I made a point to tell my audience that it's very, very important right now that we as men reach out and teach younger men. I'm actually sick of talking to grown-ass men about how to go date bitches. If you're 30 years old, 40 years old, and you don't know how to get laid, I can't help you, brother.
I'm going to dive into kind of our updates since last time. Looking through a lot of my previous notes here, not much has changed. Trump's up like 1 point from where he was in the aggregate prior. His immigration's sitting about solid. He's doing good in crime and border security, doing bad on inflation. Still got about 50 to 52% of the country saying that his economic policies right now suck, but long term they're looking forward to the results. And I see a bunch of one court cases, so I would say he's still going strong, powering through, and a lot of the things that were the justices in our Supreme Court that were trying to usurp power from the president and delegate it all to themselves have been failing left and right.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Grid.
I'm Grid One Motorsports. You can find me at An Unreasonable Man. I do satire, comedy, sometimes. I talk about the news and money and stuff, just general stuff. I can't wait to get into this because the left is completely unhinged and absolute denial. It's great. It's wonderful. Let's go. Let's get into it, guys. Let's move it. Let's move that needle.
I'm excited. All right, Jake Varr.
I'm Jake Varr. For you guys that don't know me on Gibbs' channel, I have a YouTube channel called Project Veopod, so that's where you can see me there. Guys, let's get into it because at the end of the day, the left are fucking lunatics. We knew this. Obviously, these people are easily seen as inciting violence. They are the party of violence. And what's the solution to this? This is, I think, something that I think we as right-wingers need to discuss moving forward there. But with that being said.
All right. Thank you so much. And returning to the panelverse, Mr. Pentuple or MAGA lawyer. How you doing? What are your thoughts? You're muted, it looks like.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to turn off this TTS because my people don't know how to behave, and it's coming through my speakers. So it probably sounds like shit to you guys. I don't even know if I can hear it. Anyways,
Yeah, it sounds like somebody's trying to get a horn.
Here's what I want to say. I will say, I do think that my position on our prompt here today is something that me and Gibbs have spoken about. I know Tyler's been in that group test. We've been talking about this for a few months now. The left is insufferable and insane. They went for 4 years now preaching all pretentiously and academically about stochastic terrorism, and then can't figure out why we blame them for Charlie Kirk's shooting. These people are dishonest. They're fucking liars. They're disgusting. And just to get straight to the point, I think that exactly what we're doing tonight is how we should respond to leftist rhetoric and leftist violence. These people are not going to change their mind. The debate has been had for 10 years. I think it's time that we don't give them a seat at the table. Why do we need to keep engaging with people in 2025 about January 6th? These people aren't open-minded, honest people. They have a narrative that they're trying to push. They have a side that they've chosen, and we've chosen our side. And it's not a lack of debate anymore. At this point, the sides couldn't be clearer. The idea of having a person in the middle, it sounds goofy to everyone now. It's probably been a few years that that's been the case. I have no patience for. I used to distinguish between liars and people who believe lies, but at this point, no, I don't care. You're either on one side or you're on the other, and I've picked my side, and I want my side to win, and I'm ready to start implementing. We've been debating for too long. 10 years. Are these people really going to change their mind on abortion? Are they going to change their mind on transgenderism, especially with minors? No, I don't think so. So I think it's time for our side to say, you know what, we're actually going to push for these laws to be passed. We're going to push for what we want. We're going to push for our side of the debate, and we're going to implement it. And look, we're already winning. This is one of the reasons we're seeing this leftist rhetoric and this leftist violence heat up, is because they know that they're losing. They're losing on every front. They're losing academically. They're losing spiritually now. They're losing in the actual political realm at the elections. It's over, and it's time for us to actually show what it looks like to be on the winning side. And I feel really good about the last few weeks and the way that our side has said, you know what, you guys want to play that game? All right, let's show you how little power you guys actually have, because this is the only power they have left.
That's solid, man. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. That's rad, dude. That's cool.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into that more. I'm probably going to be a little more involved in this than I usually would be on these panels, because it's more of a righty panel. I don't have a feeling we're not going to be all just screaming at each other as a need for a moderator. But I at first, I'll be honest, I'm kind of somewhere in between these stances where I was before. I'm definitely moving more and more towards Penn's point. I think that we need to push legislature. And I'm really glad to see that. Just today they announced that there's possibly that 8 states or something are refusing to give up their voter rolls to the federal government, which is very suspicious. Why would they be afraid of that? Ken Paxton announced last week that he found examples of 70,000 different ballots that were not valid here in Texas. So if they're doing that here in Texas, what are they doing? And I think there's another state that just announced they found 200,000 ballots that were used somewhere and maybe changed an election in a single state towards Biden. So I'm a little interested to see how this goes. I really hope that we do keep pushing the legislature, but I do want to focus on something. I think that the Charlie Kirk death was a turning point, right? It's really lifted the mask. I disagree that there wasn't people in the middle for a few last few years, but I think people are off this fence now, right? I've never seen people more motivated than since the Charlie Kirk death. I've seen people that were not really politically motivated at all decide that they're going to step into the ring of politics. I've seen people cutting people off, and I wonder if the time for debate really is over, and what does that really mean? What are y'all's thoughts?
Well,
Look,
I thought this was a little bit of a Republican strategy session. Generally, I didn't realize it was just on this specific topic.
It's going to be several topics.
I got a 16.
Oh yeah, you had your Google Doc, your polls.
Yeah, don't worry. I got a 16-page ready for this one as well. So
16
that
pages.
being said, I'm kind of I sent it to you. I'm kind of with you guys on that. As somebody that wants to clean up my own house before I worry about the conservatives, it greatly bothers me that these leftists have so much input. And now you have people like Destiny Hutch and all these people saying they're the moderates when they believe almost every single point that the far left believes. They just think Israel should be able to exist, but it's still committing a genocide and evil. But at least it should exist. So, we're moderate. But every fucking point that they believe. So they need to lose, and they need to lose until they can start getting it back in line with reality. And at this point, the political violence is just another sign of like them blaming the least violent demographics in the country when it's almost always leftist violence.
Well, I mean, I think that we have to be intellectually honest here and say that the left really are in denial, ultimate denial about who they are. They are the party of violence. Now, they're not the party of great violence. The right is the party of great violence. We can be very violent, but we're also very, we understand that we have that capacity, right? But the left is an insane, a bunch of insane people right now that are backing other insane people. And at the same time, what's really interesting is they will literally say stupid shit like 80% of violence is committed by the right. Well, yeah, sure. If and only if you include the Muslims in religious crimes, right? Like that. If you don't do that, if you eliminate that, there's barely
and exclude
people
gang
have
violence.
brought statistics into
well, gang
politics,
violence
like
aren't
fantasy
gangs aren't on the right. Drug abuse.
Yeah,
Well, that's my point. But if you exclude gangs, then then obviously it's
that
gonna be
ADL
Well,
study.
not only that, they don't
I'm
even
sorry,
add in.
I can
They don't
only-
even add in the BLM riots. Like with that stat that you were bringing up, I've seen it. They didn't add the BLM. BLM is actually considered neutral violence. It's not on the left.
Yeah,
but January
same thing
6th
with
is like
LA's
1,000.
Yeah, and January 6th is considered right wing, but then at the same time, BLM's not considered left wing violence.
But
This is how they skew the numbers there.
But again, what we're finding out about,
Antifa
I'm sorry,
right
go ahead, Tyler. I apologize.
They took Antifa, said that Antifa was attacking government. This was anti-government action, and classified Antifa violence against police as right-wing violence in that study in the ADL.
I do remember that, but even more than that, Tyler, like they're such big fat liars. They're just liars. That they have this Jan 6. They cling to Jan 6, and yet they never want to update any of their information, right? Like right now, we know that one of the big things that they talk about is that the Proud Boys are the ones that broke in to the congressional building, right? That's a big talking point. And yet it wasn't a Proud Boy. It was an undercover Fed who broke down the door and said, "Come on in, guys, let's go."
Yeah, what's his name? Ray Epps?
Yeah, no, I don't think it was Ray Epps. I think Ray Epps is the guy they are.
Enrique Tarrio or something.
Yeah, it's Enrique.
Enrique was
one
the
of the
leader.
guys that's he was not arrested, right? It was very weird that he wasn't arrested to begin with. But now he's under investigation. I think there are a total of 80 federal officers that were on site that day as in plain clothes, undercover. They have video of one dropping a pistol on purpose so that they could say that the protesters were armed. There's video of the guy literally just like walking by and just like throwing a gun on the ground.
Yep.
So
anytime, I'm sorry, Pentuple, I just want to close
go ahead, finish.
I just want to close this out. So anytime I start talking to somebody about Jan 6, and if all they're going to cite is information from 2020 and 2021, I don't even want to talk to them anymore because they're so far out of fucking date. They don't have a fucking clue. And it's not worth the effort to engage with them because they literally don't want to acknowledge any of the investigations that are coming out. I'm going to have Tim Hale, who was imprisoned for 3 years.
Oh, no shit. He was a J6er.
And he was exonerated of all crimes. And that the feds went after this guy hardcore because he was actually a contractor prior to his arrest. He worked as a contractor with the Navy to in like nuclear evaluation or something. I don't know. He was a guy who went around and checked boxes or something. I don't know. But so because he was part of the government, they went extra hard at him. They actually wired his roommate to try and get him to admit that he purposefully went in and damaged stuff. And all the video they got of him is walking around and he used the congressional bathroom to take a piss. That's it. That's all he got on. 3 years in federal prison, bro. 3 years.
Yeah.
Yep. And now he's completely exonerated. He didn't need the pardon. He didn't need Trump's pardon. He was completely exonerated of all crimes. And so he's part of the witness list against these feds. He's part of this case. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to do another interview with him to where we lay all of this stuff out that people that the press sweep under the rug or put back on page 22, and nobody they don't want anybody to see this shit, right? But I seriously want to bring all this stuff to light, because Jan 6 is in fact used as a sign that the right is violent, and yet it was our own government acting
relatively peaceful.
It was relatively peaceful, right?
All right. So as far as this assassination being a turning point, I think it is, but I also think the turning point is overdue. And I would point to the conversations that Gibbs, Tyler, and I had in our group chats for several months leading up to this assassination, where I felt strongly that bringing on these people and giving them a seat at the table has been something that's not really for the purposes of debate, right? The debate is to, at some point, make a decision based on that debate. We're not supposed to just debate these issues until we die and pass it on to the next generation. We're actually supposed to implement some decisions at some point. And I would say the left has clearly no principles. And this is more visible now than ever. They were so academic about the First Amendment. And then after seriously, with this whole Charlie Kirk thing and the mockery and stuff and people losing their job, ask any of these people what they think should happen to a white person who says the N-word online.
Yeah, canceled.
Seriously.
Canceled.
100%.
Of course, canceled. Of course,
Well,
you lose your job. Oh, what happened to your free speech? They use these principles against us. These people are dishonest. I mean, they forget. They were so academic about the First Amendment back when Twitter was banning all of us from 2017 to 2022. They were so academic about it. Oh, well, private platforms and blah blah blah. And then they just completely forget that. They preach it, like I said at the beginning. They preach about stochastic terrorism, which is this language and rhetoric and incitement that's designed to get someone crazy out there to act it out. And then when we associate their rhetoric with Charlie's assassination, they're like, oh, what are you talking about? He doesn't represent any of us. He doesn't represent anyone. These are the people that were so pretentious and academic about it for 4 fucking years. These people are liars. We don't need to give them a seat at the table.
What's worse is they will pull out bullshit like, well, the guy who offed the 2 senators in Michigan.
Oh yeah, Melissa Hoffman. Hoffman and her husband.
And her husband. Yeah. Well, that was a right wing guy, but was he? Was he really?
Yeah, he worked for.
Are we really going to argue that anyone knew who they are? It's clearly different.
Well, he worked for their campaign. They tried to burn down Shapiro's house. That guy was a left-winger, radical activist, big Hamas supporter, and they tried to frame him as right-winger incorrectly. But that guy, the Melissa Hoffman shooter, he was.
Why did he? Well, hold on. There is. So this is the problem with this, right? Like, okay. I said this yesterday on the panel I was on, right? And I listed all the leftist violence in the last 2 weeks. And I think that somebody here, I don't know who said it, they've gotten desperate, and that's why we're seeing more violence, right? Is we're pushing policy through. We're like lifting up these rocks. Remember how they said there was no evidence of voter fraud? Now we're lifting up the rocks. We're seeing, hey, guess what? There actually is evidence of voter fraud, right? Maybe we haven't found the widespread smoking gun yet, but we're finding, we're finding like a little bit of traces. I'm seeing a little smoke here and there, right? I heard AutoPin wasn't going to be a thing. I told them this, and now it's a fundamental platform of Trump's second term. He literally put the little photo of Biden up there. I saw that
shit. It was so hilarious.
This is like going, and they're like talking about indictments for it, right? Y'all just talking about Comey getting indicted. Like there's things like there's steps he's pushing the policy. The economy seems to be doing all right. We're seeing the border immigration. We're getting stuff done. Like it seems like there's a turn. But the thing with the Charlie Kirk thing is it seems it's ignited the violence. I think they've figured out that they're losing, and it feels like the game is up, right? So now they're trying to silence people.
I don't know. I need to ask our token lefty here just a second. So I really don't understand how the Hartman, Hoffman, whatever, I can never remember that name, but the shooters in Michigan, the shooter in Michigan, didn't he work for her?
Well, that's where I was going. With. Oh, yeah. So there is evidence, and this is the problem. I said on this panel yesterday, I was like, okay, well, let's grant all these are left wing, okay? But when we look at y'all keep bringing up the Hartmans. Well, okay, I'll grant you he was right wing, just for the sake of argument. But if we really want to dive into it, this is a much more dubious case than any of the other ones where y'all were like, oh, he's not.
Jimmy Kimmel said.
Well, because it wasn't a political crime, though. It wasn't a political crime, was it?
The shooter of Charlie Kirk does, in fact, represent everyone who celebrated and mocked that death. And if we want to say the same for Hortman's shooting, we can. The problem is that celebration and that mockery was not prevalent like it is with Charlie Kirk's shooting.
I mean, the other thing is
there is no equivalent. I don't know a single person that mocked that shooting that celebrated it. Nobody even knows who. What I'm going with the level of difference in the size of these figures. If this shooter that shot Charlie Kirk, if they can say that shooter doesn't represent anyone when he clearly represents all of the people celebrating it, they can't argue then that this Hortman shooter represents anybody because I don't know anybody that was celebrating. I can name people in my personal life that were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death.
I will even double down here because the Melissa Hartman assassination that happened, bro, lefties didn't even know about that when it happened on June 14th on Trump's birthday during the LA riots. Remember the No Kings protest shit that was happening?
Yeah, that's true.
No lefty was talking about that shit. They only talk about it till now that it's convenient with the Charlie Kirk situation.
I don't
fucking bringing it up. No lefty was actually fucking arguing.
Let me just say one last thing about the Hartman thing. This is where I keep going with this. Is right. Like I try to be good faith and just grant that is right wing violence, right?
And that's fine, but it still doesn't matter.
But hold on. And FQ brings this up in my chat. And she said it's the only example of right wing violence in the first 6 months of 2025, right? And their argument would be like, well, y'all were right. We did violence before, I guess. But my point that I'm making is I didn't want to contest that. But if you really look at that case, it doesn't look like he was politically motivated. It looks like he was mad about other shit, and then he went and killed him. And so it's like, and so it's like you're gonna go in there and you're gonna say, oh, right wing violence, and it's really, well, I fucking was doing XYZ with this guy's wife or something, or like I don't remember exactly, but there are all these other reasons why he's got a motive that aren't political. And it's like, well, we could if we really want to dive into it, then y'all are kind of being dishonest about this as well, right? And so I feel like their hypocrisy is really just like blatant, like the censorship. They said this, and then they've been bitching about this issue for a week, and we find out with the House Judiciary Committee, oh, well, y'all were doing this, but on a much broader scale. Like
they're the political equivalent of an atheist trying to use a Bible against a Christian. And these leftists, the only reason that we keep giving them a seat at the table, but they're overrepresented online because you can't be a part of this mindless cult unless you are terminally online. There's nobody out there in their normal life that isn't terminally online that's celebrating the murder of an innocent man. These people are overrepresented online. They've astroturfed their support. They're losing on every front. We're winning on every front. We don't need to keep them at the table. We can just move on and say, look, if you haven't figured out in the year of our Lord 2025 that a man can't be a fucking woman, you're retarded. You don't get to have a seat at our table.
I'll even tell you this. They don't give a shit about any of these fucking conflicts unless it benefits them or to make Trump look bad. You even go to the Epstein files. Remember, they had 4 years to reveal the Epstein files. They didn't care. The left didn't care about the Epstein files until now that we put pressure on Donald Trump and Cash Patel to reveal them, and they didn't fork up the information. Now all of a sudden the left cares about the Epstein files, and now they're using it against Donald Trump and people like us. That's the only time they'll fucking give a shit. Is just
whatever.
I want to move the combo,
and it's the same thing with Melissa Hartman's situation.
I want to move the combo to something Penn said, and this is kind of what I think the meat of what I want to talk about today is, right? And so Fairy Queen brings up another good point. I actually agree with Fairy Queen here. And she says basically, hey, Pentuple's wrong on this. There are lots of regular people out celebrating. And I can tell you right now, I've seen tons of people celebrating that are regular normies. They're not politically online. And they're celebrating in the streets over Kirk's death. And it's been gross. And I think that it's twofold. I think that Pentuple's right and wrong here, right? I think that it's not we need to give them a seat at the table because I think we need to exclude them from the table. But I do think that we need to continue going and beating them at their table, which is the debate world, right? We need to keep going in there and tearing them a new ass up.
You can do that if you want.
We have to go in. Sure. I mean, and it's not fun, but I think the point is we need to go in there and we need to reach the youth, right? Because their method has been get the youth. And if we could go beat them and make being conservative cool again, then hey, why would you want to follow Destiny when you have a meat-eating, red-blooded American who's talking about fucking bitches, God, winning guns, snorting on, whatever. Let's get some alpha male energy back in America and get rid of this beta country.
I was actually talking about that on my show earlier today, and about how what's really makes me happy right now is the at least in the people that I interact with, the youth, especially the young men, are way more conservative than they have been, and it's growing. Like they don't like this being lied to. They don't like, kids don't like to be lied to anyway, but they really don't like the rhetoric that's coming out. They understand bullshit when they hear it, and they look at they're looking at their older peers, right? And they're looking at these blue-haired wussies, right? That don't make any sense. And I've heard it said that Gen Alpha is like Gen X without the rule book, right? Like they don't have parents that can control, or most of them don't have parents that can control them. So they're going to be like Gen X, only like worse, unfettered, if you will. And I think that I'm very much heartened by the youth. And I keep telling, on my show today, I made a point to tell my audience that it's very, very important right now that we as men reach out and teach younger men. I'm actually sick of talking to grown ass men about how to go date bitches. If you're 30 years old, 40 years old, and you don't know how to get laid, I can't help you, brother. I'm sorry.
It's a good
I'm
analogy.
sorry.
Go ahead, Tyler.
I'm done. I'm done with it, right? Like I just can't do.
Oh, sorry.
So I look at a lot of polling. Pentuple hates it, but I just linked one to Gibbs. If we're looking at the country right now of who the adults in the country want to lead the party right now, the Republicans are up on crime by 20 points, immigration by 18 points, foreign conflicts by 12 points, U.S. economy by 10 points, gun control by 4 points. Like even gun control, one of the Democrats' -- issues.
That's their biggest one.
Yeah, one of their top issues. They still got. I think healthcare is their biggest winner for them in terms
Probably.
of political extremism. Republicans up 4 points on dealing with that. Respect for democracy. Republicans only down by 2, 31-29, meaning they're pretty much neck and neck on respect for democracy. Corruption. Republicans are better by 6 points. Every metric right now, if you ask the people, you're sure I'm not a huge fan of Trump, but wow, he's way better than those fucking crazy Democrats. I think Pentuple has a point. It's not worth talking to these people anymore, and they're so predictable. Like, I'm about to do a thing on Jake's channel here, and I'm about to do another one with same topic for both you guys. One on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever her name is. Raging Tomato and
Rotten Tomato.
I have the same intro for
Raging,
both of them. It's
Raging Tomato.
We can't listen to anything Israel says because they lied about something unrelated one time, and we can take the Hamas terrorists at face value every single time. We don't need to back up a single claim with any fact. It's always this massive double standard, and it happens in everything. And people are sick of it. Everyone notices it. I'm a moderate swing voter. I voted mostly Democrat. Even in 2024 and 2020, I still voted blue down ticket. I just voted Trump, then Trump Kemp. Otherwise, I completely Democrat. I just have nothing to do with the party.
I can save her, he says.
Talia and Ryan were talking last night. They're both like, I don't want anything to do with this party. We go on like these debates, on these lefty debates, and they're awful. And these people are terrible. And there's no room for somebody like me. They just want my vote.
I think that helps us, though. I really think that helps us. I mean, so like my kid watches Destiny. My kid will watch 3 minutes of Destiny and go, "What is this idiot talking about?" Like literally.
Yeah,
it helps us, man.
Yeah. But they're getting bad on the rhetoric. But I'll tell you this: like, as far as like the radical left shouldn't have a seat at the table, you do have to realize that from what I've noticed, even normal lefty people that vote Democrat, even they're moderate, they'll say, "Yeah, I condemn the Charlie Kirk assassination," but at the same time, he was pretty racist and he was pretty bad, and they're still sharing the memes of the jokes of killing him, etc. Like
that's true.
At the end of the day, even normal lefties are still kind of in the barrel of saying like, yeah, why are we honoring this guy? And I think
I'm glad
when it
they
comes
taught
down
us
to
what
it,
stochastic terrorism.
yeah, and I think when it comes down to it, bro, we need to keep talking about Charlie, and we need to make sure that because people have goldfish memories. We need to keep talking about Charlie because we're going to lead into the midterms, and we need to focus on that the left wants us dead, so that way they don't get any power anytime soon.
Well, they're playing into the hand. Well, they're really playing in their hand. Like they've had since Charlie died, we've had
past midterms.
4 or 5 people, 4 or 5 attacks, right? And right. I think, and like this is maybe why I disagree. I think like when we're up, I think Pentuple's got half of this, right? We need with policy, we need to hammer it down their throat. Right. Trump's doing real good with that, with policy, with like pushing the judicial system, all the other stuff. Big fan. He needs to keep slamming out. But I think like we need to go get in the trenches and make sure that we keep kicking them while they're down, because if we let them like go and disappear into the little corner. They're going to sit here and fester, and they're going to get back into the youth, and eventually we're going to have another swing back the other way. I think the only way to do that is just hammer the fuck out of them and everything, because the best way to beat them is let them speak, right? They just like you said, Natalia and them. It's like they hear this shit, and people are like, oh my God, this is what they really want. Is evil. Like I can't be a part of this, right? Like I think we just got to keep exposing them for this, or I don't know, or they're going to be able to claw their way back in.
Now, so what we all know here, right? I hope that we all understand that what happens on the left, and I don't mean to include you here, Tyler. I know you're one of the good ones, but but even if it's something like, but even if it's the left will corrupt things so that the more moderate or undecided or just non-political person, if they hear a headline, they'll think Republican, right? If it's bad. And then if you ask them, like, who do you think right now wants to increase your taxes? Oh, Republicans. Well, no, actually Republicans are cutting taxes, but Democrats are raising them. No, Democrats don't want to raise my taxes. They're trying to help me. They're trying to give me money. No, well, where do you think the money fucking comes from, idiot? But I mean,
they only cut taxes for the rich, right?
Right.
That's
yeah.
the talking point. It's only for the rich.
Right. And it's just this very interesting way that the left has always been able to kind of twist the narrative. And the problem is that the way that YouTube works, the way that we have instant information, the way that we have video, and you can tell if video has been edited or not edited, and all of this. It's hard. It's getting harder to manufacture the lie and keep to the narrative. Destiny can spurg all he wants, but people know the truth, and that's what like Rob will just let him sit there and spurg, and then he'll put up like the video, right? Like, no, this is what happened. Right? What are you talking about? And so it's just a very interesting time. And I think that's one of the reasons I really do believe that our youth are coming back to the right, because they're not stupid. They are the children of videotape, right? Like they absolutely.
Well, the hypocrisy couldn't be more obvious. They were so, like I said, and I keep repeating this point. They were so academic and pretentious about freedom of speech principles when Tucker Carlson was getting fired from Fox News, when we were all getting banned from every social media platform. And then they act like they were never that way when as soon as Jimmy Kimmel gets pulled off the air for not even a week. I don't even know what the deal was there.
2 days.
And it was based on an FCC guy's podcast appearance. I don't even know the FCC actually took any action there.
No.
But these are the same people that preach about stochastic terrorism. Look up what stochastic terrorism and tell me that that's not exactly why we associate leftist rhetoric with Charlie Kirk's shooting. They've been throwing all of this stuff at us, and then when it's true about them, they're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. These people are liars. They are not honest debaters. They are not somebody you want to be a part of your conversation. If you're at a table and you're trying to actually get something done, you can't have people like this at the table. You never will progress, which is why I disagree with Gibbs. Because
sorry, guys, I can't.
I understand the purpose of debate, but the problem is debate will always be there. There will always be a debate, but we don't have to have this version of the left end of our debate. We can have these debates with people like Tyler representing that far the left end, with libertarians becoming the left. There will always be a spectrum. There will always be groups within any debate. But the problem is we're like, what do the retards think? What do the 19-year-olds with no life experience think? What do the people think who haven't even read the Constitution?
I'm sorry, I got to get
There's no reason to engage with these people.
And I'll tell you this, you have to realize a lot of young people right now, they don't remember how life was like during the 2016 of Donald Trump, the first election of Donald Trump. I ran into this one guy that also started a channel. He's on the left as well.
Makes a noise.
He buys into the kind of the narrative that the right is violent. This is something that he told me. And I told him, I'm like, dude, don't you remember back in 2016 when Maxine Waters was saying to get into the face of MAGA supporters? I told him I was wearing a fucking MAGA hat, and I would wear a MAGA hat, and I will get attacked because of wearing a MAGA hat back in 2017. He's like, dude, I've just been barely following politics for about a year and a half. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. A lot of these young people don't remember the first administration of Donald Trump, how we were being attacked as MAGA supporters back then.
Well,
it's just a blank at this
but
point.
but even
they're
now,
losing, and if they want to, if these young people want to be a part of the debate, they can either choose the side that everyone's ignoring, which is going to be this version of the left that we're talking about, or they can engage with us, and they can engage with us honestly, like the way Tyler has.
Yeah,
you don't have to agree with us on every economic principle, every political argument. You don't. But if you will sit there and forever declare that a man can be a woman, if you can do that for your entire life, you're never going to evolve. But we don't need to make these people evolve.
The problem I have with this, right, is because, okay, I guess this is going to be the closest I get to conspiracy theory. Like, I'm not sitting here like the Jews control Hollywood, right, or something. But like, I think the left controls Hollywood. I mean, I don't think that. I mean, I wish. Hey, listen, my Jewish overlord.
I've seen a compelling chart.
Give me some money. I need it. But like, my point is though, I see the left controls Hollywood. I see they control like the social media, like to an extent. I see like we are starting to get like our own like areas of like empower, and these companies are backing down and reinstating people, and like I see a lot of that, right? However, they still control a significant portion, right? Like for example, I'll use Modi as an example. He don't know any of us, and when he saw me debating Hutch the other day,
Euro.
Yeah, well, sure, but this is fine. He's in young generation. He hangs out with a lot of Americans. He goes, "Oh, is that Hutch?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Hutch does politics now?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I remember him from I don't remember what fucking gaming thing." Yeah, and so I'm like, okay, and then I'll go in there and I'll talk, and he'll like, "Oh, the only right leaning guy I know from that generation is like Snipe Down, right?" And I'm like, oh, well, Snipe Down's not involved politically at all, right? And so what's crazy is we're seeing like, well, now he's starting, but like we're seeing like this, they have this kind of like hold on the youth. And I think that it's important that we go in there and we expose this blatant hypocrisy like to them in these debate circles. And that's what it's for, while not letting them have a seat at the table for the policy. I think that's important that we keep.
At some point, at what point are you on giving? At what point are you their life support, Gibbs? Because at some point we do need to evolve past this version of the left, and at some point you can let the new left, which would be, in my opinion, just like the libertarian side of our movement, represent that. Like, there's always going to be debates.
Before we get there,
people can be honest. When I talk to right wingers, we can. I'll often like I can't tell you what any given right winger thinks about gay marriage. I can't. But I can tell you what every single left winger thinks about gay marriage. Well, so hold on. At some point, these people are not part of any debate. They are trying to strong arm what they want, and we need to show them that we're going to strong arm what we want. And we're winning.
I'm going to give it the grid, but I want to say one thing before I give it the grid. I did this on a panel like last week on purpose. So what I've been doing is I've written down all the different things I've been called by the lefties, right? And if y'all know who Dr. Joseph Goebbels is, he was the third or fourth strongest person in the Third Reich. He's the minister of propaganda. He's probably the guy who invented modern propaganda. Genius but evil, right? And he says the best way to like get rid of your enemies is label them at the time. This is in the 30s, right? Is label them communists and fascists, right? And so whatever. So he pitches the capitalists and the bourgeois or whatever as this. And so I think all they've done today is take that playbook and just add Nazi, which is crazy because they're actually representing a lot of these values. And I've started calling them their own names, and suddenly they realize the danger they're in when they're getting called the names that they've been calling us. Like, you call them Big Papa Goebbels, and suddenly they're afraid for their life. Like, I can't believe you'd call me Nazi. You're putting me in danger. And it's like, oh well, but you called me a Nazi. I've been called Nazi for like 10 times in all these films. But we're gonna go to Grid, then go to Tyler. Go ahead, Grid.
Yeah. So I think that what we have to look at that, even though we're not just talking about a little bit of violence or specific people, just and my chat reminded me, I knew about it. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but Cam Higbee, who's a content creator, was basically forced off of the TSU campus earlier this week. And according, and I have not seen this, but according to my person in chat, it says he had to leave campus because the students became more violent and started getting physical with the group. TSU then issued a statement saying our students behaved, when the video obviously shows otherwise.
All of our students behaved appropriately and professionally, and then the video is them like screaming, like all of these
literally screaming and saying that they don't want
flicking them off and throwing their shit.
They literally have students have made statements. They don't want white people on the campus.
They don't want the debate either. And this is what I'm saying. This is why the debate is over. Nobody's still sitting there. Oh man, I just can't figure out about this whole transgender thing. We've decided we don't want children being mutilated. We need to actually act on that. I can't tell my kids, oh yeah, we've been debating this since you like. I don't want to do this for 20 more years. At some point, it's like, okay, we've had the debate and we've won. We're the ones in power, and there's a reason we're in power, and we're not going to waste it. This has been like the eternal curse of the two parties flipping back and forth for the last time. And you know what? Those historical trends are over. This was a turning point. And that turning point was overdue. We've been winning, and we need to start acting like we're winning. We don't need to be like, oh, well, it's just our turn to be ahead. No. We're going to fucking win this thing, and then it's going to end. And then we're going to have new debates. We're going to have new issues to debate. We don't need to keep letting in illegals forever. We've had the debate. You lost the debate. That's why Trump is in office. If anything they believed was true, he wouldn't have won. The only reason he's there is because everyone knows they're fucking lying. And if they're not lying, they believe liars. I don't distinguish between the two anymore. It's over for them. And that's why they're doing this. That's why they're acting out. And the only thing we can honestly do is actually make progress. And guess what? They don't play a role in those future debates. Because if you couldn't figure out that January 6th wasn't an insurrection, if you can't realize what Trump is capable of if he had tweeted something inciting, like, these people are not serious. They don't deserve a role at the table. They've lost. This is what losing feels like. Elections have consequences, however you want to put it. I have no patience for them anymore.
I'm going to go to Tyler here, but I do want to say one thing real with the transgender thing. I actually think that there's actually a group that's a group that could switch to the right. And this is, I'm going to tell you why. I know a lot of trans liberals, right, that are like very moderate, like central left, or they're like capitalist, and they really only vote because the right is so diehard against the trans. And most of them are like, well, all I want, and this is like, maybe it's the Texas mentality, is I want to be able to spend the money, look as hot as I can as the other sex or whatever they like to believe, right? And I want to be left the fuck alone. And the lefties are pushing this radical agenda that's actually endangering me. If these people think I'm like a pedo and I'm going to go and talk to their kids, like, obviously they're going to want to kill me. And I think that's a real argument. I think you can win a lot of these people over with like, hey, listen, if you go away from these people and you exercise these people from your party, then, like, maybe you can be left alone to live your life, and I think that's a really good point. But
Gibbs, I wouldn't want those people. I wouldn't want those people in the table to begin with as influencers, etc. I'm just saying, like, we don't want transgender influencers.
Well, they wouldn't want to be influencers. Most of them are like want to be left alone. You want them to, Like,
well, okay, I don't know if they do, because from what I've seen online, they don't seem to be.
Sure, there's not all.
That's
a segment. But let me just ask you this then, right? Like let's just say you're like a crazy, like let's say you're a snake handler, like a Christian snake handler, right? And you want like a Pentecostal, okay? And so you have an extreme religious Christian belief, right? And you on your ranch, you want to like handle snakes and you want to do whatever you want to do, like, and whatever. But like, hey, the rest of the nation's not cool. Should you be allowed to like do that in the comfort of your own home? Like, I would say yes, right?
I would say yes, but at the same time, I wouldn't want these people to have an influence on our youth. I think that's the problem there, especially people like Blair White that have entered or infiltrated the conservative movement. I think is a net negative. We don't need to cater to transgenders. They're a small portion of the United States that I don't even think is even worth addressing, to be honest.
Well, what about Milo then? I mean, I think
he's just as nefarious. Yeah, he used to be a mag, but at the end of the day, at least he's trying his best to kind of like make up for all of his homosexual promotions from back in the day. But nevertheless, yeah, Milo, I would say back in the day, I wouldn't want him to be influencing the right. It's still a glorification. Even Dave Rubin, who adopted him and his gay lover, adopted a kid. I think that's something we should be against. I don't think homosexuals should adopt children.
There's nothing wrong with being gay. Pentuple watches baseball. So
there you go.
That is pretty gay. That is pretty gay.
There we go. Hold on. Okay, here's the thing, though. I will agree. I'm going to make a couple of points here on this. And first is
hold on. Let Tyler go. Agree.
I'm sorry, Tyler. I apologize.
Before you unload, let me get all these things out that I got written.
He's been waiting. I keep cutting him off.
Yeah, I cut him off last.
I'm a polite left winger. You don't see that very often. But to Pence's point, I kind of agree with him. We don't need to do these debates. We don't need to keep rewarding dishonest people with a seat. There's a time for the debate, and it's 6 months before a fucking major election. And then cut them the fuck off for a year and a half and don't talk to them. Let them stew in their anger by themselves and pat each other on the back on blue sky. And let's just move on with their fucking lives and watch all these lawsuits come in with giant W's on them. I don't know. I've watched.
It only matters what the winning side has to say. We're the ones that are winning. We're the ones that are interesting to listen to. We're the ones that actually have a position that matters. These people aren't changing. These people are going to die thinking that a man can become a woman, thinking that we should abort children out of convenience.
I'm getting there. Destiny debates Trent Horn on fucking pregnancy and abortion.
Get rid of Destiny. You shouldn't even have a platform anymore.
I'm saying Destiny gets completely blown out of the water on abortion on the whatever podcast, goes back to his stream, spends the next 2 days completely rewriting the debate, making shit up, lying about Trent Horn, smearing him as a person. Wick goes on Tim Pool. Lactoid completely blows him out. He embarrasses himself. He was right in the face yelling. He couldn't pronounce fucking places he was talking about properly. Embarrassed himself. It was just appalling behavior. And then the next day he goes on a stream, invites on a couple friends who were also kind of, one of them was a paid propaganda.
Yeah, and they stroked each other's cocks.
And not only that, he insulted his friend Lactoid over and over, called him an idiot, called him stupid, called him dishonest. And like, this dude's like, what the fuck, we're buddies. And he was willing to throw his buddy under the bus and stomp on his fucking head just because he lost a fucking debate and embarrassed himself. I don't know. Like, to Gibbs' point too, like, even if we talk about black crime getting people killed, Karen's calling the police on black men getting people killed, wanting police is getting people killed. What, you know, like, and even mentioning gender is the same thing as sex is getting people killed. You can't even say radical Islam because it's getting people killed by those racist white people that live in the United States. And at the end of the day, right wingers are all fascists, and that's not hurting anybody at all. And if we say it is, then you're suppressing my free speech. It's so fucking disingenuous. And lastly, since Hutch was brought up, I just want to say that scumbag weasel rat bet me 2 times $100. One time on the election in 2024, and the other time on Ukraine and Russia. That scumbag weasel rat was wrong, and instead of paying me the $200 he owed me, he blocked me because he doesn't make enough money off of his shitty political stream, which is why he's sweeping and sucking Destiny cock to pay his bills. Pay your fucking debts, you scumbag snake weasel rat.
That's wonderful. This channel does not condone the views of everybody here, but do pay. Listen, be a Lannister. Pay your debts. All right, go ahead, Grid.
Yeah. So I kind of, we kind of cooled off on that on the trans, gay, whatever issue, but I just want to. There's a few points I think that are really relevant to the way the right should be viewing it and how we should, how we ought to handle this. Number one, if you are a person that dresses up as a sex and you want everyone to buy into that, you're insane. That's the definition of insanity. You're insane, right? It's a mental condition. I feel bad for you. I don't want to support you in your delusion. I want you to get professional help. I need you to come back to reality and live here with the rest of us as best you can. So I got
a game we're about to play. We're going to do a game here in a second.
Yeah,
so
just a second.
But no, you're going to finish your speech, and then we're going to do a game. I'm going to tell you what the game is. Y'all ponder this. It's going to be you tell me which person's trans. Okay, that's the game.
Hold on,
easy.
Oh yeah, you think so?
Okay. Hold on. This is
easy.
I'm not done yet, but hold on. We can get to the game in a minute. We can get to the game in a minute.
Do we get to hear him speak?
So as far as the
wouldn't matter.
You can always tell when they speak.
As far as the, honestly, I don't care what they look like, Gibbs. They can fool anybody, and if they are able to fool you, being good at cosplay is awesome.
I would never be fooled.
Good, being good at cosplay is awesome, but asking me to deliberately buy into a delusion when I can obviously tell you that you were something you're not is insanity.
Yeah. If
also living is something you're not is insanity. And I really like that guy. The other night, somebody sent me a clip of this guy Jeffree Star, who was making a statement about what's his name?
Definitely a man.
Yeah, definitely, dude. You see this clip of this Jeffree Star guy talking about Charlie Kirk, and he was hammering the trans people about how if they were like happy about it, they were just I mean, he went off on them. He knows that he's a dude. He just likes wearing dresses. You know what? He's crazy. He's insane, but whatever. It's fine. But at least he knows he's a dude. And he's not asking me to call him a woman, right? Like, he's a dude. He's not getting offended because I say dude. Yeah. I've literally been on panels where, like, I've been corrected for calling a dude when the dude was obviously not a dude. I mean,
you're a dude.
Yeah, you're a dude. You got junk swinging
Yeah,
down there,
Girl
bro.
dudes.
For
Gibbs,
sure.
do we
It is
really
funny
have
'cause
to
I
do a
call girl
Halloween
dudes,
costume
but
contest?
it's not trans girls. They don't like dude.
I've heard the argument from the right wing that say that we should embrace people like Jeffree Star because they tell the truth, even though
I'm
they're,
not
like,
saying
homosexuals.
embrace him. I just think it's
But-
funny.
No,
We just
I
gotta
for sure,
stop
but-
pretending like all of
but-
these issues are 50-50 when
but-
the elections are 50-50. That doesn't mean that we're 50-50 on all of these issues, which in reality we are winning on. We are winning 80-20 on a lot of these issues.
Yeah, but I'm saying amongst the right wing, even with Charlie Kirk, I'll admit Charlie Kirk actually does have he did have, at least in 2019, a pro-gay agenda at the time. Trump was
Rob
promoted as
Smith,
the most gay pro-president, ever. Like that's how they were promoting it. But I'm saying here is that we shouldn't need homosexuals to tell people that homosexuality is based. Or that you could still be a conservative with
No,
those
I don't.
values.
I don't. Yeah, I disagree that homosexuality is based. I don't think that that's a thing. I think that.
But that's why people like Jeffree Star can be like, oh yeah, he's cool, and he's in reality, but he's not. He's not in reality. He's a gay guy that dresses like a woman.
Bad? What's in there?
But he doesn't. But he's not trying to. He's not trying to tell you that he's a girl, and I guess that was my point there.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly he's not.
Yeah, no, I understand.
He's not. He's not mentally.
I understand that, and you can make the same argument with Blair White, and Blair White is still somebody that I wouldn't welcome into.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, but I kind of have the same
Blair White's the
viewpoint.
most base tranny of all time.
I kind of have
anyone that we accept. It's Blair.
I kind of have
that's the MAGA HQ take. If there's one tranny allowed,
I kind of have the same point as
White,
Andrew on the gay issue, right? Like, if that's your thing, have at it. It's a definite, it's a sin. You get to talk to God when you get there. Make your amends there. But like most sexuality, I don't want to see it, right? Like I don't even think that. I don't think that
generally over sexual straights. Like that shit's annoying to me.
What's that?
You're just like even being straight and just overly degenerate sexual is like
right.
That's not
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Like
people leave there, but
and gays are degenerate, bro. I've lived with gays. I've lived with gays, bro. I know one that would drive 4 hours every weekend to go get railed by a new guy every weekend. He had to take anti-AIDS medication because that's how much he was.
Oh God!
I'm telling you, they're
openly degenerate.
Openly degenerate.
All right. Guys, in the group chat. Nobody pull this up on screen, but I've seen a photo of 3 people in the group chat. Nobody pull it up on screen. You tell me which one of those is the trans individual.
All right, hold on. I got to get to my other.
I'm gonna have to remove it. I can't see it without the audience seeing it, bro.
Wait, what?
How are we labeling these? A, B, and C?
Where is it?
Yeah, let's go with
trannies.
I
want to see them.
Black and white top A, green top B.
Gibbs, is that you?
And then me with the other person is
where
in the group chat.
I don't know, man.
I don't even know what the group chat is on Discord, bro.
I'm not good with
Gibbs. Did you go blonde? What happened there?
I'm gonna go with B.
Okay, so B.
What's B mean?
So green top is B, black and white top A, and then the person with me in there is C.
Because there was some work done there with B, you can tell.
There's work done on all of them. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
you tell me which one.
Nobody looks good with lip filler. Nobody. It looks so retarded.
Hey, listen.
I don't know why they do this. It's so ugly. It's like literally.
Pick which one, A, B, or C? Who you got? Who's the one?
You look injured.
I should seriously
I am injured. I just got out of a car wreck.
All right.
What?
Okay. A, B, C. These are all different people. These are different people.
Yes.
Okay. A.
Damn, I'm way.
A is the most sus. There's like filters and stuff. What is this?
Mm-hmm.
So wait, A is the one in the green.
No, A is the one in black and white. B is
green.
Right, C is the one with me. Well, don't pull them up on screen here. Let's try not to do that.
Why can't chat see?
Well, I don't want my people to watch because I have people that watch my
that's
channel.
The only way. That's the only way I could see it here.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit here and get yelled at about this later. Now, thanks, Pentuple.
Yeah,
A could be real. B, I don't think is real. C, I can't. Hang on.
Yeah, it's the fact that y'all are sitting here having to figure this out this hard means that if they're spending
that doesn't prove a damn thing.
But what does it matter, though?
I'm just pointing.
That doesn't prove a damn thing.
The point was y'all said they could always tell, and I just wanted to prove.
No, I didn't. Nobody said they could always tell.
B said that. Who
said that?
B is a woman. I think these are all women.
Say that.
Pentuple.
I think these are all women.
Oh, Pentuple. Okay.
Am I right?
No.
Fuck. Well, that just makes it even more
Which
serious
one's
of
the
a
dude?
At
problem.
the end of the day, that makes it even more
Which
scary.
one's
You
the
go to a
dude?
bar and that chick could have a dick. Like that's even scarier. What
Get
the fuck are we
married,
living in
Jake.
here?
Don't go pick
Yeah.
up women at bars.
Anyway,
Follow
moving
your
on. I
husband.
just wanted to. God damn it, bro.
Okay, is that a dude or a girl? Go ahead and answer that.
Yeah,
That
tell
is-
me.
That
Is
looks
this
like a dude.
That
That's
is
a dude.
that is
a
woman.
dude. That's a woman?
Yeah,
That's what I thought. Okay. What about this one?
that is also a woman.
And what about
Okay,
this one?
The third one.
So they're all
This is
women.
a tranny.
It
They're all
would-
women. I told you.
The only trans is the one that you're with.
Yeah, none of them.
No, none of them are. None of them are trans. None of them are trans.
Oh, okay.
You're not lying.
Yeah, I was gonna say is one of them a trans woman.
Yeah, see what I'm doing here? All right, we're moving on. And now that I'm going to get yelled at in person about this, that's fine. All right, so thank you guys. I appreciate it. Now I'm going to have a head bounty on my head. If I die, we're going to blame political violence now.
There you go.
Anyway,
And
moving
it's
on.
gonna be on the right side. It's gonna be on the right
Yeah,
side.
it's going to be on the
Comes to
right
stats.
side. Yeah,
Comes to
they
the
can
stats.
Yeah, so
Gibbs,
hold on. Let me jump in because Fairy Queen's going off in the chat about something I was about to talk about as well. As the Dem outrage machine churns out anger on a daily basis. Every day we have a new story of why Trump is bad, Trump is evil. Most of these fucking stories don't. There was like a benign action or he said something they didn't like.
That's
Some of
why
them are actually
it's
good things that he did. And
That's
yeah,
why
I
it's
agree.
terminally online.
Hold
That's
on.
why I was saying earlier, these people have to be terminally online because otherwise
Let
you
me
can't
get this-
keep up with all of this
Because we
bullshit.
just had a court release of like 70-something page documents of the
Nobody
Biden
offline
administration
gave a
pressuring
fuck
YouTube.
about Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, they were pressuring YouTube to remove speech they didn't agree with. On top of that, they were doing the same to Twitter. They were doing that shit to Facebook. They were actually going in and pressuring them to remove people's fucking free speech. Where Trump's administration just threatened to do it, we're supposed to hold our hands up appalled. It's the same thing Pentuple's saying. Like, it's hand waved off when the actual egregious thing happens from their side. And then as soon as the other side does it, it's like, oh my God, this is the worst thing
Well,
ever.
Tyler, remember
done
Douglas
with it.
Mackey? You remember the Douglas Mackey case? I don't know if you guys remember during the 2020 election. He did with Hillary Clinton. I'm sorry, 2016. He did a meme where it says you could text your vote in for Hillary Clinton for the Democrats, etc. Trump won, but right when Biden got into office, they prosecuted that guy for election interference and put him in jail. I don't know if you guys remember that case.
So, I mean, that brings up something interesting. Okay, I this is kind of where I I think that I think Pentuple's right about maybe at some point excluding these people completely, but I think that it's too soon, right? And this is why.
No, it's too late, you dumbass.
hear me
We
out,
just got
hear me
everyone
out,
killed. Holy
Hear me out.
shit.
Hear me out. I think that what we should be doing right now is fighting them fire with fire. Like they've been doing this stochastic terrorism. Okay, you don't like being called this. Okay, fine. Let's call you exactly what you've called me, and accept it's accurate. If I call someone a Nazi, it's because either A, they're a white supremacist, like Connor, or B, they're a fucking person that's actually pushing like not national socialist
2025.
policies.
No,
Right,
nobody's
so, like-
Nazis, bro. These
Well,
people
I
don't
mean-
know what history even is.
Well,
These
sure,
people
sure,
are
but
fucking
hold on.
retarded.
But a democratic socialist does have the same policies as the national socialist policy on a lot of things.
Yeah, you
right?
can call him a
So,
Nazi. though,
So
but-
yeah, sure, but the point I'm making is if you call them the same things they call you, either it's going to ratchet things up, and then to a point where there's no turning back, or it's going to cause them to go, oh shit, I don't like this. Maybe we do
Nah,
need to tone it back.
It's not going to do that. They're willing to. They want you dead, Gibbs. There's no way they're going to be like,
That's
"Oh,
what I'm
you're
saying.
calling me a Nazi." Okay, fine.
But
No, they're going to
sometimes if
double
you-
down, and these people want you dead, Gibbs. Like that's really
They're
what it is.
terminally online. It's the only place they exist. It's the only this is not a 50-50 country anymore. Just because elections are between the parties close to 50-50, which is honestly suspect. Like when I think about the founding fathers saying we shouldn't have political parties, it makes sense. Like we have two people promising completely different things. Like the fact that it's 50-50 suggests to me that there's something afoot here. We're not supposed to be 50-50 on things as basic as the Second Amendment. And we're
Or
not.
even
I believe
gender.
that we're not.
What the fuck's going on here? Yeah.
It's just like we don't have to keep like, oh, well, if we don't have them, then who are we going to debate? We can have these debates. There's things that we all four could all easily debate. But when you have a leftist there, you know what they're going to say. There's no value in having these people at the table.
The only value is
we're
its
never going to
entertainment value.
progress
No,
past
look,
banging
actually,
their head in the
so
wall and saying it's not an insurrection. You don't know
Right.
what an insurrection would actually look
So
like.
let's
it would
reframe
take
this
one
again.
person
Hold
with
on.
a gun behind
I kinda
Gibbs
gotta
or behind
address
Grid
this a
right
little
now
bit, right?
to
Like,
pull off
I'm gonna
infinitely
let
more
you- I'm gonna
fucking
let you
damage
go.
than January 6th. They lie about cops
Penn.
dying on January
I got
6th.
it.
They lie about fucking everything.
They
Fuck
do.
these people.
We all
Hold
agree
on,
with that.
but it's
Well,
not
hold on,
useless
before
to
y'all
have
go
these
further,
conversations.
before y'all go further, let's y'all can finish. I know you and Jake want to say something, so Grid, you can go, then Jake. But
Yeah.
then what I want to do after that, and y'all can actually do this in that. I want to move away from like kind of what we've been doing a little bit of is talking about
Yeah.
what they've done and what
Well-
and let's talk about what strategy we should be doing going forward. Let's talk about that.
Right. So, I mean, so here's the thing.
Implement.
I disagree with
pass the law.
Pentuple that there's no use in having debates with them anymore. I think that it actually, I want to step it up. I think we should be debating them every fucking day. I think that we need to keep the pressure on and keep making them look like fucking idiots, like literal idiots. When Wick has to go and lie to his audience about how he did, that's a fucking win. And he needs to do it every day, right? Like,
But he's going to keep doing that.
When-
They're
when
gonna keep
Ryan-
it
how many
going.
people
We're
are
not
really
getting
converting?
them
Ryan, the radical coder, can't even get on a panel because people pay to kick his ass off because they're so tired of hearing his shit. That's a win, bro. It's a win. And we got to just keep the wins up, because what happens is we say, well, we won. We don't need to engage with these fuckers anymore. They will actually they will go out and
We need to have
keep
the
talking.
debate, though. That is, how do we get rid of the illegals?
Yeah.
If we don't get
Right.
past, should we let in infinite illegals forever?
Of course,
We're never going to get to where we need to be, which is debating how do we solve the problem? How do we actually implement our side of this? Because we've won, we're winning. They've done the same to us, and they would do the same thing if they were winning, but they're not. They're not winning, and they're not going to win. And their only hope now at this point is historical trends. They
Pen.
just hope that the pendulum swings back, and it's not going to.
Penn, I'll tell you this: the pendulum is swinging towards our side, and I'll tell you this: the left
Oh, it's on
has
our
won-
side.
That's what I'm saying. It's swinging towards our side, especially the last 10 years. But I'll tell you this: the culture war was won back in like 1960s, 1970s to the left. Okay, even if you look at heavy metal music, art, Hollywood, etc., a lot of it is left leaning content. Always been left leaning. Now all of a sudden, because they swung too far left, and now all of a sudden men can be women and they want to chop off the genitals of children. Now it's swinging back towards our side. I think we need to push more propaganda to get more young people, especially Gen Z, into those arts, into the liberal arts, and push more of the agenda of like nuclear families. That's what we need to infiltrate.
That's why I got into liberal arts.
Is media. We need to infiltrate the media. Yes, and we need to do that through the youth. Like, we can't do it right now. We're all in our 30s.
You know, well, the only
If we're
conservatives that
assuming
have
what
done
you
that.
want is to provide more of this media, we can't let them be our collaborators.
I agree.
Well, I think the
We weren't
schools
their
are-
collaborators.
Well, I think the colleges is maybe the first step.
And
'cause
that's
we
a
already
big
have,
one. This
we
is
already
why
have
they killed
bullshit.
Charlie
When I
Gibbs.
listen to Obama, he was talking about deporting illegals. I don't know that
Well, hold
that
on.
all of this leftist bullshit that we're
No,
talking about
that's
right
not what
now
we're talking
existed
about.
even 20 years ago.
No, yeah, it
Obama
did. It did.
was
It did.
anti-illegals.
Well, I don't
There's
know, Pitt.
clips
Like,
of them.
I went to Texas A&M, and Texas A&M is one of the most conservative colleges in the nation. In fact, they just fired their president because one of the professors said some liberal bullshit, and it was kind of outrageous.
Good,
and
we
the
should
video
do
was
that.
wild, and they fired the president. The president had to step down, and he fired the person the day after it came out. Right? He wasn't dicking around. Like, well, the fact that this was even allowed to happen at A&M, whatever, and even at A&M. It was very center left. However, there was one group of conservatives trying to get into the liberal arts, and it's one group I don't want. You know what group it was? The libertarians, specifically the ANCAPs, right? And so, you go into one professor, and they're a center
where
left
is our NCAP?
or moderate, and then I don't know where he's at. And then it's, and I wish he was here for this. Then it's like an extreme ANCAP and Capistan, and I'm like, listen, I know that I sound like I agree with you, but that's just because I'm a Texas nationalist, right? I don't actually agree with you, right? Like, it's guns, God, and freedom, bro. Well, you got whatever you got going on, and I think that we need to get these conservatives back in, because what a lot of us have done is, and I'm not saying this about me because I did the liberal arts thing, but a lot of them have gone into trade schools, which is good. A lot of them have gone into business degrees, which the business at Mays Business School, extremely at A&M is extremely right wing, right? And they go and they give back and they give donors to these schools, but then they're not involved in the education, right? And we need to get these people
Academia.
to come back into academia. So maybe we need to raise pay on some of these guys. I don't know what the answer is, but I think we got to get back into the academia.
Gibbs, there's a reason why they went after Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was infiltrating academia.
That's why.
Charlie
Yeah,
Kirk was
I
the
agree.
one.
Right.
Yeah, he was infiltrating that shit. He was a big threat to that because a lot of the young kids are liberal. All the professors are liberal. This is why Charlie Kirk was so effective in academia. And I think we need to infiltrate that as well. We need to infiltrate the academia
okay,
and
so
the
let's-
liberal arts. We need to take back the liberal
hold on.
arts as well.
Let's
Let's go a
talk
little
about-
beyond
50
that.
years ago, we need to take it back.
Right.
What's wrong
I
with
agree with
academia?
all of that. However, let's take a look at something else here, right? So when people talk, especially people in the middle start talking about the right, now you're hearing that, well, the right is getting upset because Marvel changed the color of a hero's skin or made a man a woman or whatever, and they make it seem like that the right is being petty about this. They like downplay it, and then when we come back with, well, why is it important to change that character? Why are you doing it in the first place? Like, us asking the question why is not the whining and crying. It's the it's a legit question. Why are you doing this? You telling us that we're whining and crying is literally you whining and crying. And those are the debates that have to continue to be won. We have to go out and because that's how the left is able to give these give these youth and give these middle of the roaders some teeth to lock onto the leftist side. Is the right's just whining and crying and bullshit.
You're absolutely right, Grid. Like
Yes.
I had Danny Fortuna on here not too long. He got a good shouting match with FQ, and it was pretty interesting though, because I've had him on several times, and he's this gay Italian man from Italy. Well, he's gay Italian. There you go. That's what he is, right? And he's like very passionate that he hates like the fact that they infiltrate the media, right? And they come in and they really push like something, or they come in these spaces like 40K, which is like not inherently right, but they want to change the lore in order to get more people onto their stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why? And like I talked to him, I was like, what about this character? He's like, well, that character's not bad. I'm like, it's not even that we care about like the change of the characters. I'll use a really well-known one, right? People bitched about changing Samuel Jackson's character, Nick Fury, to like a black person with Samuel Jackson. But then he played the character and I was like, oh shit, this is pretty good.
Yeah,
right?
it was like
That's
it was bad, right?
You have good writing and like a good character.
Yes.
Nobody gives a shit. But if you go and change something fundamental, like, I don't know, like changing Magneto to a black person when his story is that he's a Jew that was like survived the Holocaust and got it, like that's fundamental to that story, right? You can't that's a big part, but they don't care because they want to, and for lack of a better term, whitewash history to their version so that they can just push this narrative. But let's go, Tyler. You were waiting there.
Okay, so you guys were talking about schools. We need to fix the academia. We need to fix these higher education areas for higher learning, and nobody ever really digs into that. So I want to kind of, reveal a little bit of my Israel argument and go to that trope that Israel controls blah, blah, blah with all their money. So if we look at actually what happened is Qatar donated about $100 billion over the last 10 to 15 years. What they've been doing is
Qatar.
Yeah, weapons manufacturers, news media, colleges, and into our political system. They're outpacing the best year APEC has ever donated in a political cycle by times 10 a year, every year consistently. They are taking this over. What they do on college campuses is, you remember Trump's $600,000 plane? They have 3 of those sitting on each campus, and they're teaching Middle Eastern studies that Qatar approved. Qatar is also the second largest funder to Hamas. Yeah, and they're teaching. That's where this giant anti-Palestine.
It's communism as well. They're teaching the communists to these students.
Yeah,
this is why they're like gays with Palestine and contradicts it. They're turning them into these.
It's not only it's linked to Qatar, it's linked to Iran. 2 days after October 7th happened, there was tent cities popping up all over campuses with one universal message. It was all linked together. It was a giant effort by Qatar to control our education on our campuses for the last 10 years.
And mind you, Tyler, they already did that in the UK. They've already infiltrated the UK to that degree.
Well, climate change is the other thing, too.
Hold on. Before we go to climate change, I want to talk about the Qatar thing real quick. This is actually worse than you're saying. Right, and this actually goes to something Penn and I have talked about a long time ago, which is the Uniparty, right? And I don't know if y'all know this. Y'all know who Bush Sr. was, the president, right? What was his job before he was president? He was the head of the CIA, right? CIA director, okay? Well, guess where his presidential library is? Texas A&M. You know what other school in Texas has a presidential library? UT, University of Texas, right? 2 biggest schools. Both of those schools have direct partnerships with Qatar, where they have satellite schools where they send their kids for advanced programs for 6 weeks. So you can go over there and get stuff, especially specifically in the liberal arts and anything attached to the Corps Cadets, which is the military and which is liberal arts, etc. Right. So you have political and military training that you go and you get like education stuff over there for 6 weeks or some of this exchange. Then here's another cool thing. Guess who another A&M president was? Oh, Robert Gates. What was he? He was the head of the CIA. So it's almost like you have a CIA-funded academic program that's sitting here getting in bed with Qatar, and then they're coming over here like doing all the things you're saying. It really starts looking real sus. I don't know. I mean, Tyler, go on with your second point here, but I wanted to mention that because that's kind of interesting. There's my conspiracy theory.
The second point is I use this a lot when Tim Pool got found out that some Russian channel, Tenant Media, that was like people from RT were renting, like they were leasing one of his shows to rerun on their networks to get viewers. Everyone's saying that Tim Pool was funded, and look how much money he's making. I would come out with showing tens of millions of dollars. Right now, I think it's either China or Russia are the #1 donators of climate change activism in the UK.
I saw that.
And they're in the top 5. Both of them are in the top 5 in the United States. They are. It doesn't go to like biologists to help climate change, or it doesn't go to anything to help technology. It goes to activists to go out and stoke the fucking flame.
Yep.
And like whenever you bring this up to somebody about, they talk about Russian propaganda. I love bringing this up to Dylan Burns. Talks about Russian propaganda and blah blah blah. The right wing, even though that's been pretty much completely disproven as a Democrat lie at this point.
When we talk about things like Tenant Media, though, I mean, you have to really understand that there was never any strings tied to any of that, according to anybody that was part of it. The whole reason that they went after it was they were winning a ground fight on campuses, college campuses especially, with people like Lauren Chen going out there and talking to people, Tim Pool, all of these people, and they needed that. They needed to slow down the conservative YouTube alternative media, whatever you want to call it.
Let me ask you
media, by the way, was in Nashville. It wasn't far from me.
Well, let me ask you something, because I find this interesting, because on the right, we're definitely like much less organized when it comes to our social media. We're much more grassroots, right?
Yeah.
So on the left, right, like, okay, I'm anti-Russia. I don't like Russia. I'm like, I'm not a friend of Russia. I think they're evil. I think that if they're not, they're an adversarial power. Long live the American Empire. I think China's the same way. Iran, there's pre-Neil powers. Europe's basically our bitch right now, so whatever. But when I'm sitting here, I go, okay, I don't like Russia. And I don't give a shit that if Russia spent money over here and someone that's a Republican may or may not have got paid through a company, right? I don't care. They probably already believe those talking points anyway. I'm just like, I don't give a shit if the left is over here paying, Wick and Prime and, 50 other streamers.
I kind of do, though.
Whatever.
I kind of,
hold on.
it's a huge difference. All right, come
let me just, because this is my question here, right? So I'm sitting here going, well, what do we do on the right? Do we go after them for this?
We don't do,
or do we form our own groups? Because I agree when we see NGOs are doing this, that's a problem. But when it's private companies, do we make our own and start making our own media groups? All
right, so let me answer that. I will answer that because I will answer that because I put a lot of time and effort into thinking about this. So first of all, I don't care that a couple of Russians who were doing business here were, wanting to support some channels. I don't care, right? As long as there were no strings attached, and they weren't asking for specific messages to be played or anything like that. It was just, hey, we want to support your show. And maybe they were making money off of it, rebroadcasting it overseas and putting it into a different language. Who knows? I don't give a fuck. I don't care anything about that. And the fact that the fact that the feds dropped it like a rock shows that there was nothing there to start with. But what bothers me, and I think that's a huge difference between what Tenant Media did and what Progressive Victory, which is now something else, which is going to be something else, down the road, which is literally U.S. government funded, right? Those are our tax dollars, mixed with legit donations that are provided to content creators with strings attached that say you have to support this candidate, you have to talk, you cannot talk about this, you need to talk about that. There's strings attached to that. There's a narrative that has to be said. and you got people like Connor, who's a part of that, who denies that he's part of it, who says, yeah, I took the money, but I didn't, they was never required to say anything. And yet obviously he was. I mean, whatever. I have a real problem with that because, that is kind of, it's shady, right?
It is.
I would have
Well,
a
yeah,
lot.
if you're that's the thing of
let me
difference.
ask you.
If I was sponsored, I'd put Papa thing and I'd be yelling every day.
Yeah.
Right.
So and so saying Papa.
Right. And
For
this is where I'm
opinion.
going with this, right? I've said for the last year, I'm sure Jake will back me up on this. He's been around when I've said it. My goal with my channel to start out with prior to the election was in the midterms, I want to get paid by a Republican PAC.
Yes.
I would much rather, I would rather my
goal.
chat never have to send me another super chat. And
that's
that's
a
a good question. Why did y'all start streaming here? Because I started, I moved to politics. I already had a thing. I probably could go back to Halo after my band was up, right?
Sure.
But my thing was, I'm going to move to start doing politics because one, I know I can public speak, I can debate.
Right.
Two, I need to talk politics because I have real fucking issues that are happening that no one just gives a shit about, right? And that's why I started, right? I don't give a shit if I get paid. I made enough money to do this without getting paid. If I do get paid, great. But they're not going to be able to buy me unless it's a substantial amount, right? And so I'm not saying there's not an amount. Right, but there is an amount. But it's you for 99%.
Well, so I got into streaming specifically to talk to people and help people, and especially kind of men's rights or men's advocacy, and then that kind of morphed into doing current events and news, and then the election was happening, and I got behind that, and I became a little bit more political. I was always political, but I became even more political, and then. And I've said, again, I'll repeat that I would I will take money from a PAC with no problem. I will sleep like a baby. And it would be easier for me to do that than to grift my chat every week for donations. I would much rather have that happen. And so I'm going to say the same shit anyway. Again,
I don't
want to say anything different, right?
I'm literally running my first subathon ever to this month, and it's more of for jokes and lulls than it is for the money. You know what I'm saying?
Gibbs, what's actually wrong with us actually the right wing actually getting their own NGOs? And
I don't know if there's anything wrong.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you. If you're saying I don't want to take money and I don't care about money being,
I didn't say that. No, I would love a check. No, but I'm saying there'd be a big check.
So what would be wrong taking the left's blueprints and using it for our own benefit?
I guess that's what I'm asking.
Our politicians elected. I would say let's do it.
No. So here's
that's what Grid's saying. Grid would love to take that paycheck because I think we should strive for that.
Yeah, but my question is this, right? What worked for the Republicans and the reason why we're here now is because people like Charlie Kirk, people like us, Charlie
was funded.
Right. Right. Well, not when he started though. He was grassroots talking about the issue, and then he got in with the people he cared about, right?
No, Charlie's parents were still in bed with Trump even prior before his rise.
Maybe, but I mean, I know. Okay, I guess I'll speak for myself, but I'm going to guess with Grid.
Charlie wasn't just some random guy.
Sure, but let me I think the most Republicans though, a lot of us have gotten into this for the grassroots. I think Republicans got on the grassroots level, and Charlie adopted the grassroots method. Maybe he was funded or whatever. But the most of the streamers, people all of us are a little bit older, right? Grid's established. He's got the money to dick off and waste time in the evenings, right? I have the money to waste time in the evenings. Penn here, he's a lawyer. He's established. You're older. Tyler's older. We're able to come and talk about this. We're able to talk the issues. So if we were to get paid, it would have to be A, for what we're going to already say anyway, or B, it's going to have to be a substantial amount to go against something we like to the point it would offset our other shit. And then we would just say that. The reason I switched sides is because it's a massive check.
There was a local election here, and they were like, hey, we want you to, you've got a show. We may want to do something local, maybe bring out, I would go out to some churches and stuff and talk to people. But I couldn't say certain things. There was things I couldn't talk about. And this is all local, right? So this isn't national or anything. And it wasn't a lot of money, but I'm like, no, that's not how that works. If you want to pay me, great, I'll take your money. But I'm going to say what I'm going to say, right? That's just the way it is. And that's one of the reasons I think that's one of the things that I would have to differentiate, right? I'm not going to just say shit that I don't believe in. I'm not going to lie to my audience. I'm not going to.
Yeah. Don't lie. That's not what I'm saying.
Right. And that's what And that's one of the reasons why, like, I still like Tim Pool. I don't watch it very often, but I still like the guy because he was like, I said what I was going to say, right? And he was even, and everybody was like, well, he had this anti-Ukraine stance. He was like, no, I long before I heard a tenant media, I had that stance. Like, I didn't say anything I wouldn't normally say, and they never told him what to say. But now what you have with like Progressive Victory is the exact opposite. You have basically people writing your script and telling you what to say and what to cover and what issues to avoid and what issues to
that's where I wanted to
concentrate
go
on.
with this.
And
Yeah,
so,
I like.
and
Well, hold
so
on, before you go,
when you
Kyle, I
have
wanna say something
Destiny,
else.
when you have Destiny come out and condemn one thing while completely ignoring another, you know that it's not because he just doesn't care about the other issue. It's because
he's
he
just bought
can't
out.
talk about it.
Well, you bring up something interesting that I was going to bring this up right before, but you just beat me to it. Right? Is that this is the thing I was kind of saying to Jake just now? Is that I think the grassroots is almost an advantage, right? It's like a shotgun, right? If I'm hitting birds, I don't want to be shooting with a rifle, right? I want to hit them with a shotgun because it spreads further, right? And you have 50 different points they have to defend against all. Versus, tell me if this has happened to y'all. Is you watch one debate on Monday or Tuesday, and by Friday, we're on the primetime shows, every point that these people are going to make because they're all saying the same 5 points, right? And so, they have to defend against 50 different points because Penn and I, we're saying that we're both like, hey, we like all this shit, and we're not even saying the same strategy. You and I are saying kind of similar. Jake's saying something it's like they don't know what to hit. I feel like it's almost an advantage. But Tyler, you had something you want to add here.
Okay, so I want to jump into the Dem strategy thing you guys want to emulate. Why the fuck would you emulate the losing
That's good. That's a good question.
Yeah,
Well,
Destiny,
not only that,
hold on,
we're
let me
asking why we don't get represented in art and stuff, but it's like there's a reason there's no right-wing Jimmy Kimmel.
Exactly.
It's funded by ABC.
Exactly.
They're not
Hold
going
on, hold on.
there's a reason
That's
Tom
why we have to
McDonald
infiltrate
is forever independent.
Hold on,
These
hold on.
artists
Hold
that
on,
we
I got
have
some-
on our side,
And he
they
looks
don't
like
get
he's
picked up.
independent.
They don't get pushed on Spotify. These
He's
systems
independent because
don't
he
push
sucks.
them.
That's why.
It's all corporate. It's all. I mean, it's just whether it's industry plant. I'm not saying they have no talent at all, but it's like the industry does choose its winners. If you're a rapper and they put you on the front page of Spotify, you're going to get more plays than anyone else. That's just how it works. That's how the system works.
Hold on,
And we're not gonna. We either gonna build those platforms ourselves because we're not gonna get a right-wing Jimmy Kimmel. We're not.
And look,
Well, we got Joe Rogan. Well, hold on. Let Tyler go. Let
it's
Tyler
only
go.
been
They tried
Tyler, it's
to
only
do-
been the past 10 years that the left has been losing. Okay,
I know, but
all the history prior before that, they've been winning. This is why we need to take that strategy
4.6
because they've gone too
million
far.
flipped
Go ahead,
from leftists to right wingers in the last 4 years. It's not working out for them. We
I
saw
think it's
Destiny
strange.
go and New York Times, or it was Hassan was in New York Times. Destiny was
Okay.
CNN. A week later, both of
take
them
a
said something
shot at
fucking
this?
gross into the party.
Yeah, I'm not
Let me
saying
finish.
do that.
Hold on.
Let me finish. I
Tyler
got
go.
3
He's been waiting.
sentences.
Yeah, let
I
Tyler
got
go.
3
Sorry.
sentences. So
No, good,
Midas Touch right now is pushing Connor and Adam Mockler. Connor is embarrassing himself every time he speaks. Adam Mockler, that dude was one of the people I debated against on a WIC panel. All he does is goes to Trump rallies and ambushes old people with a bunch of pop quiz questions, and then he films and cuts out the one time they fuck up. This kid is an idiot. I debated him. I crushed him. He didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. He's some low info, and he's going on CNN. He's going on Mark Halperin show and shit like that, representing the left wing. Let them talk. All they have to do is let them talk, and they lose. Just leave them alone.
I agree with you, Tyler. I agree with you, but here's the thing: we can emulate to some degree that behavior because we would say it anyway. Guys like
And we don't
Connor,
need to cut.
Connor literally is cucking himself for a paycheck. Right? I wouldn't do that. I would not take the pay. I would be like, no, keep your money. I don't need it. But that's the difference. And we can emulate that. And it did work for them, right? It did bring people to their side to some degree because everybody's like, oh, Destiny's so great. Destiny goes live and has, I don't know that he has, real 10,000 viewers, but I mean, I think
he's got a lot of people hate watching. That's for sure.
He's
There's a lot of people
he's got
watching
some
that
hate
don't agree.
watchers, and I think he's bought it up pretty good. But I don't know, man. I think
These
that
people exist online. They're all terminally online. I won't be convinced.
right. I think that there's using the Democrat. Well, it's not even using the political strategy of having supported people that are going to say what they're going to say anyway, sponsored people, if you will. I think that that's something that most of us should aspire to. right? But
We needed to
but the
just-
difference is we would do it anyway. If you turned
Well,
off
I think a
Destiny's
lot of-
revenue stream, if you turned off Destiny's revenue stream tomorrow, he would quit streaming within 3 months.
I mean, maybe.
Oh, for
Actually, I
sure.
think he already got demonetized on YouTube. So he's probably
mean,
losing about 40K a month.
Well, he
Well,
doesn't. He doesn't
But
care
a
about
lot
YouTube.
of this stuff
He's
is
not-
just
The
financial
problem
structures.
is- the
So I
problem
think
is
it will
then it goes to-
naturally flip in our favor as the financial structures, like we saw with the Bud Light boycott. Like there will
Yeah, that's
become
a
a
great
point where
one.
the financial incentive is to not be woke and retarded.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's
Um,
happening with Twitch now, right? Like you were seeing the shift in the moderation. We're seeing YouTube reinstate channels. I mean,
Right.
and this is a pro and a con, right? Part of like the benefit, like if you watch Kick, if their overall political leaning is definitely right? But the problem is then they have people like Destiny who are going to go on there and every time they get forced off a platform like YouTube or Twitch, what they do is they post less there, and then they post enough to keep people interested. Right, but then they force them to their main platform, which is Kick, where they're getting a 70% revenue share. So in the long run, they're making bigger money, right? That's the
Yeah, but
con.
they're
That's
still
why
doing
he's
ads
willing.
to that.
Hold on, but
Somebody
that's
ads
why
to that.
he's willing to be edgy because the whole point of Kick right now is to be the Wild West of free speech. Like I could go over there and I could say anything almost, and I'm not going to get banned. And Kick will be like, "Hey, we don't care if we get bad negative reviews because all Kick is basically a pipeline to stake." And like.
Yeah,
And I'm not bashing it because a lot of right-leaners are right-leaning guys benefiting, right? But at the same time,
Right.
you're not going to get rid of the cancer whenever they have something like that they can run to.
Yeah, but I mean,
We're
so
also
let me
gonna end
add
up
to
ahead-
that a
go
little
ahead,
bit.
go ahead.
So when Desi doesn't care about YouTube because of Kick, obviously that's what he just covered that pretty well. But even beyond that, look at what happened back.
I think he wanted to get banned off
last
YouTube.
year, yeah,
Honestly, I
back-
think that's why.
Right. But
his reach goes less.
He got
That's
kicked
the
off
thing.
of
No,
X and YouTube.
funnel
Compared to
to
Kick,
his
yeah,
money.
maybe.
But it's a funnel to his money, and I think he's money
I'm,
motivated.
I'm not disagreeing that he's going to be a hobo, but I am saying that his reach just drastically goes down if
No,
he
it
gets
doesn't.
banned off.
No. They just
No, I
go.
don't
They
think it
know
does.
he's on Kick. His reach doesn't go down at all.
He's already
If
established.
anything, it
yeah.
might
Yeah, but I'm
actually
saying new
increase.
people to establish himself to new
That's what
people.
I'm
This is why he
saying.
goes on Pierce Morgan. This is why he goes on these shows. But
Well, no, because it's going to increase Kick's reach, and then this is a whole different debate right here. I mean, honestly,
Yeah, but
strategy.
let's
But
not get bogged
we'll
down
come
by
back to
this.
it.
Yeah, let's
go
not get
ahead,
bogged
Fred.
down by this. The reality is
Sorry,
that
Jake.
look
That's
at a year and a half ago or 2 years ago when he went. Destiny got kicked off of YouTube and Twitch, or not Twitch, Twitter, right?
Yeah.
X, and or he got timed out or whatever the fuck it was. And when he did that, he just went over. He just stayed on Kick and he didn't lose a drop of revenue. And within a couple of weeks, he was right back on X. It didn't nothing help. Nothing.
Yeah.
hurt him there.
I mean, so I guess the reason I'm asking, like I think that Jake's got a point here with like the copy the strategy. It's worked for 40 years, but it's lost. I think that they haven't adapted to the new stuff. So my thing is, I do want us to get more organized. Right. But I don't know if I want to like have these one overarching thing like that. Like, I think the power of like the movement right now is that it is grassroots. And it's like, we're getting like together. We're getting organized. We're finally working with other conservatives. We're hosting shows. We're doing stuff together. But like, I don't know that I want this uniform talking point thing, except for maybe like when we need one key issue pushed and then we agree on it and then we push it. Like, I feel like that might be a better method as opposed to all of us pushing the same
I like where
shit.
your head's at. Let me take it one step further. So one of the things that I talked about last year during the Trump election is the right-leaning channels that I was friendly with. We didn't stream at the same time, and we actually would end one stream and then just
like the way
raid
Rumble's
into
doing.
the other streams. And even though we didn't talk about the same things, it was the same basic message. Right.
Keep it in the chat. I mean, that's the strategy of a lot
It
of
was
things.
like 24 hours
Here.
a day. We had 24 hours a day covered pretty much with content that
That's what the Cute House does. The Cute House does that. They like
Mhm.
whenever one of them is off, they go to the next person, the 3 a.m.
Yeah.
person. Like,
Well, Rumble's doing the same thing right now. Like they have like a schedule of like content creators that they raid from one to the
Well,
other.
this is
et cetera.
certainly what. Well, I was just gonna get one point out because I
Go
wrote
ahead.
it down here.
Please.
But, and this is actually one of the flaws of a democratic system, and I think is a concern for the Democrats who have been hanging on barely at this 50-50 election system, is that there are a large number of people who simply choose the winning side. They don't go through all of this stressful internal debate. There's a lot of people that just pick the side that they think is winning and they go with it. And as we continue to win, there's going to be more and more people that abandon this left wokest bullshit because it's not the prevailing narrative anymore. And I mean, it's one of the reasons that we're not a democracy, which is again just and to the democracy for which it's. I don't know how people could still not understand.
And honestly,
that
I'm putting something in the back chat. Right, I don't know if that
principle is going to fuck over the left very soon.
So there's I just put something in the back chat. If you think we're really winning,
take another training.
Yeah, take a look. No, it's not another. No, I don't. I'm not Gibbs.
Unknown.
I
don't have access to
this one's definitely a train.
I'm a happily married man.
I like my transmissions automatic.
Yeah, it just says unknown. I don't know why it won't show it. I don't know why.
I just posted something real quick that again, like
it opened for me. Let me try again.
Have either left the Democrats or joined the Republicans in the last 4 years. And they're bleeding out voters right now. This is the first time in 100 years that Democrats are less like a smaller party than the Republicans. If you include all the swing voters that link, like you want to stick to the strategy you've been doing. You don't want to take their losing strategy away from them. Like stick to what you're doing. People, as much as Trump like says things that aren't true, people still have that aura of authenticity because he just kind of speaks and it's not canned. It's not scripted because half of it's like, what the fuck? So
the scripted thing is a big problem for them. I really think that that's been hurting them. I think that it's twofold. I think the scripting works whenever it's focused. Like, say we all got on the same thing. Like, we're all, I don't know, I'll pick one then. The border. If we all were like, yeah, we can all agree we need the greatest border wall in the world. We all go and hammer that one point, and we hammer the same stats. That would be good. But I think that with the fact that we aren't like a united thing, we all have different agendas, I think is good because it forces an attack. And we're all authentic, right? We all believe this thing. Versus with them, like, I think this week has really done it. All week, they bitched about censorship and Jimmy Kimmel. And then the House Judiciary Committee 2 days ago released all that info about how they were pressuring people. And they just like you had this manufactured message that was believable and people were on your side. And now people are just like, you lied again. Like, I don't know. I think that, go ahead, Ben.
Go ahead, everyone. I just these people aren't serious, and anybody who's like stuck in the waters here, like looking around, they have to be new. Like the only way you can not understand if picked a side is because you just got here. It's not because like, oh, I just 5 years in still haven't decided whether that was an insurrection or not.
Why do you think they moved into schools, Pentuple?
Huh?
Why do you think they moved into schools and go after young people?
Because
they can vote. That's why.
Because of what you just said.
Yeah.
Like that's how they catch people. They catch you young. I was a Democrat voter.
I don't think they're. I'm not in Pentuple's.
I was like the only Republican growing up. If I like, you know what I'm saying. I remember like everybody would fight me, or they just didn't give a shit. Like,
I mean, I'm not quite in Pentuple's camp. I don't think that we can rest. I don't think that we can say, hey, we won. I think that we have to keep doing the same things that we're doing, and I do think that the left is really hurting, but you have to remember, man, they don't go after full-grown adults. They go after youths, right? They go after dummies. They go after people that want shit for free,
right?
They create their own voters by simply keeping people in poverty, and it's been shown over and over again. And you can't. That's hard to fight. That's hard to fight. And so we got to keep fighting. We got to keep it. We got to beat them down, man.
Yeah, and we do have to develop a plan. And I do think that we need to infiltrate those organizations. Academia.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with bringing the debate, especially to these people who are new to the party, which would be the young people, which would be these up and coming students and stuff like that.
I think those are the ones that need to be debated. This is what Charlie
was
doing.
But at the same time, we need to. If we're like, what are we going to do? What we need to do is go to our representatives and say, actually pass the bills that represent what we want. Actually deport these people, actually implement the side of our debate that we can. Like, we need to get to it. And here's the thing, like, as far as the election thing, like, we need to get to that point probably where we have 60 Republican senators, where we actually get to that point where we say it doesn't really matter what the Democrats think because it's actually what the Republicans are going to do that matters. And then people are going to naturally pay attention to us. And a lot of people just go along with whatever is the prevailing narrative. And if we become that prevailing narrative, a lot of it's not going to be as effective on the youth anymore. They're not going to feel like, oh, we're fighting the good fight.
So
They're going to realize, those people are fucking retarded.
Real quick. All right. So I've been paid to read this tweet. And all right, we're gonna read it. This is from Fairy Queen, and she's talking about the wokeness in college because she's a professor. So I mean, I think she disagrees with what we're saying about like college being the issue. So I'm gonna read this tweet, and we could go from there. I was in college when wokeness took off, and far from being a top-down imposition of the faculty of students, it was students who spent their entire adolescence on the internet threatening the faculty in order to impose their own work hermeneutic on the certain shows. I can't even talk today. Subject matter, never the other way around. It wasn't teachers going, hey, we're not going to be reading Shakespeare because it's white patriarchy, blah, blah. It was students who said, I won't read Shakespeare because he's white patriarchy, blah, blah. And they're threatening to go to the university administration if they didn't get their way. This idea that anyone is radicalized in college is such an old fucking idea. The reality of today is that schools don't contribute anything to the way people form their identities and notions. All of this is on the internet. Kids in school are just physically in school, but spiritually they are online the entire day. Your school is not your alma mater. It's the place in your Discord you inhabit.
It's literally the most retarded thing I've ever heard. When I was in college in 2015, my Spanish teacher spent our entire culture segment of the class ripping on Trump's promise to build a wall.
No, I gotta get.
This isn't student driven. What the fuck?
What
is the evidence for this? A fucking tweet?
I'll give you another example.
Why we don't have leftists on the panel? Gibbs, you're bringing leftists.
She's not a left. She's like center right. But I want to say one thing, and then I'll give you the Jake here. I had to for law school when I started. Before we even took a class, we read this book called Evicted, and then we had what I'll call a group therapy section. Well, I was the only Republican in the room, and they basically all were sitting here like saying evil landlords because Consuela went and bought fucking heroin and meth and didn't spend her money that she got from the government on her rent. And it's like, yeah, and they're saying this is the systemic oppression and all this shit. I'm like, that's not coming from the right. That's not coming from the students. This was the professors teaching this. Like, I can think of in A&M, they had a program at the time that was like a gender studies, like program for acceptance for all. And we were supposed to go into the like school, and they were giving scholars for this and like teaching tolerance and diversity. This is something that I went into for the scholarship to see it, and it was a leftist ran like scholarship org that was sponsored in the campus. Nah, I disagree. Jake, go ahead.
Tyler, get your polls out. Where are the polls on teachers?
Let's go.
Let Jake go here. I cut Jake off.
That's the most retarded argument I've ever heard. Like the students are leading the class agenda.
I disagree with Eric with that one, but that's fine.
No. I was gonna say that's the stupidest shit. That's the stupidest fucking tweet I've ever fucking heard in my life.
This is the type of thing that people just hear and then they believe it. And it's like, did you ask a single follow-up question? Like, how?
But the crazy part is that she's blaming the students for redirecting academia. That is fucking dumb, okay? You can even go back to the Jordan Peterson situation. The reason why Jordan Peterson got so big was because he didn't want to use pronouns. This was back in like 2016 or so when that pronoun shit was fucking launching out, is because this was an ongoing thing even during the Barack Obama administration. Okay, it was gaining a lot of traction here. The argument that she's saying that the students were the one doing that, if you look at the professors, it's like 95% liberal professors in academia, in universities. Okay, they're the ones teaching the rhetoric and teaching the persona of liberalism in college campuses. It's stupidity to blame it on kids. Okay, they're the ones that are.
I think I think there are student elements
ahead.
that help drive policy and I mean I can agree to some extent, but I think mostly I think Pentuple and Gibbs are right that the teachers are just they have agendas because they can't get another job. They're teachers. They're mad.
That is literally part of this. I hate to say this, but
I'll say it out loud.
The people that I grew up with, the ones that became teachers, are the least impressive among us. Unfortunately, that is true. They chose this because they wanted to go to college. Education is an easy degree to get, and they go and become teachers. And these are not people that I would sit and listen to. I don't know why I would want my kids sitting and listening to
Not only that, Penn. Not only that, I've met.
We have to triple the salary of the teachers and fire all of them, and then rehire actual people.
I've met a lot of individuals that say they want to go into academia. They want to be teachers because the summertime they get 3 months off for a whole year, right? During the year, I can decide to get 3 months off in the summertime.
Get every
They love
weekend
that
off
shit.
too,
And
baby.
then weekends off, etc.
Every
not
week.
these,
coaches.
yeah, and then they want more pay for what they're getting. They're not even actually teaching these children enough. Like the grades are fucking horrible. You know, they're doing it for the
Yeah,
the
I
time
was
off.
just actually before I came into this panel, I was
That's a great
actually
guy.
talking about the education system and how fucked up it is, and how we need to burn the Department of Education to the ground, rebuild.
Yeah, Linda
nothing.
McMahon's doing a good job, by the way. Big fan of
Exactly.
Linda McMahon. We love Linda McMahon here. Keep up the good
And
work.
I mean, just
I love
like
Vince McMahon, too.
get rid of the federal Department of Education. Bring in, let the states take over education as it's intended. So the biggest thing is that the more we go to states' rights, the more the country self-corrects,
Mm.
and
So
we
I
see
don't-
that in
The
every.
liberals agree with you. The liberals agree with you now.
Yeah, they do. Leftists are definitely agree with that.
It's amazing. All we had to do to get them on the 2A train was take away the trans guns, bro.
Yeah, the 13 states don't allow federal immigration into their state to
Yeah,
deport people here illegally.
yeah. Sanctuary city. Go ahead, Tyler.
Okay,
do
so
we know
to
a
Fairy Queen's
less
question.
than 3 entertainment? They're asking which Discord I'm in. I'm in a secret room. You can't get there from here.
Yeah,
So
it's Chris Brown.
Yeah,
Canada,
you
outside
can't.
the club.
This is a
Canada,
private.
special.
I'm sorry, guys. This is I'm sorry, my chat. I'm
That's
talking
Sparky.
to everybody's
That's
chat.
Jason. Jason wants to come on the panel. He's yelling in my chat.
Yeah.
All
So
right, go ahead.
yeah, we're
Okay, so hold on. To Fairy
We're
Queen's
almost
question,
done.
I'm sure she's correct. Yeah, we're pretty much about to finish. So I'm sure Fairy Queen is correct about a certain
Blah
amount
blah
of
blah.
teachers,
No
maybe the
leftist. Blah
majority.
blah blah. No
But-
leftist. Blah blah blah. No leftist. Sorry.
Also,
go ahead.
I'm sure you guys are also correct about a large amount of teachers as well. I'm sure there's woke teachers out there that push this shit onto kids, and then the kids go to their non-woke teachers like Brett Weinstein and say, "Why aren't you woke enough?" and force them out. And I'm sure it's similar to like if you get like a hard red or a hard blue state. Once you force out the competition, there's no longer a reason to moderate. You now have to be like the most left wing or the most right wing to win in that hard blue or hard red state. It's the
I
same
remember
thing.
Bro,
being in
I'm
college.
gonna-
when you find out you
hold
have a
on.
right wing professor, you feel like you unlocked a secret. Like
Yeah,
it's not the.
let
system,
me
though.
tell you, man. So my oldest son, his first grade year was in California. I shit you not that I was in another state shooting a match, and this dumb broad calls me on the phone to have me tell my son to stop reading in class and do whatever he was supposed to be doing, like take a nap or whatever. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You're the teacher. What is wrong with you?
And that's a college grid? Like that
No,
was a
first
college
grade. That's first
Oh,
grade,
first
bro.
grade. Okay.
First
Dude,
grade.
I have a fun story.
I
about
got
a
in
first
trouble.
grader.
I got in trouble in like elementary school because I'd read books while they were teaching, and I wouldn't pay
You
attention.
can't.
I wasn't a reader in school, like
Hey,
to be honest.
I
Hey,
know
our,
that this is
our
a
tests
case-
were base, bro.
This is a case
Would
in
you
Texas that
imagine the disgust response I felt that a teacher, a professional,
the
first
education
grade
system is disgusting.
could
Yeah,
not
it's
handle a 6-year-old.
I know of a story here in Texas, and I heard this from the mother directly, where her first grade child in class, another boy in the class, this is a first grade classroom, another boy in the class went up to her son and kissed him on the cheek and said, "I want to be gay with you." And
What
he
the
pushed
hell?
the other kid, and he got in trouble. And here's the thing. The obvious conclusion to anyone with a fucking brain is that first grade kid got that from somewhere. Why is this kid saying he wants to be gay? Who's giving him this fun theatrical vision
Again,
of being fucking gay? when he's
Progressive
7?
parents as well. The
It's
progressive
literally
parents.
like, this is what's going on with the school. This is what's going on. The school punished the kid that pushed the kid off of him. And that kid got no consequences. And
Yeah,
this is obviously a
validating.
huge deal. And this teacher or this parent that I was speaking to was very emotional and torn about it. But it's like, this is the school system. This is the school system that her child is subjected to. That's the problem.
subjected to that.
These
That's
teachers
accurate.
are fucking stick fucks. We
Yeah,
had to pass a bill in Florida to say, hey, if they're in 3rd grade or below, stop talking to them about this shit. And they couldn't even fucking agree to that.
I definitely think that, like, I growing up, like, there was only, like, I had a few teachers that if they were on the right, the teachers just didn't tell you anything. And then I had a few teachers that were like very big debate focused, but they were like right leaning. And
It's the
but they
same
like
way
would
in
like, but they would do,
celebrities.
yeah, they would do both sides. But like most of my teachers, even here in Texas, were all very left, and they made it very aware. You like,
Well,
to
that's
you,
where
like,
failures go to breed.
yeah.
They teach.
I
This
was
is the problem even with celebrities that have PR teams. Their PR teams go and say, "Hey, can we put out this gay woke statement?" They're like, "Yeah, I don't give a shit. I'm making millions of
I
dollars a
was
year.
in
I don't
high
give a fuck."
school
But
in
any
New York.
conservative celebrity that goes out, they're like, "No, you can't put this. You're putting all of our jobs at risk." So they stay silent.
Yeah,
This is
they
why
stay
they say
silent,
if
yeah.
you don't
Hold
know
on.
your favorite celebrity's politics, it's probably because he's not a leftist.
I was in high school in New York, middle school in New York. I remember the teachers had our classrooms go outside to picket with them in a union picket against their
Bro.
current wages.
So that
That's
same
crazy.
first grade
Teachers are
teacher,
fucking
It was like,
pathetic.
no,
that
it's
Childhood.
same
great.
first grade teacher told my son to vote for Hillary, and my son, being my son, said no.
Wait, why are they saying a fucking hey first grader vote for Hillary? What the hell?
Well,
What's
because
going
they were
on?
having
They
a
just need
mock
bodies.
election. They were having a mock election
Oh,
in first grade,
really?
and with
Nah,
Hillary
Would you
because
see
they
the
just-
TikTok?
and the
They
teacher's
have
like,
these
"Wait,
socials
vote
to give
for
them.
Hillary."
Nah, they're training them so that the kids can go to the
Yeah.
polls, and they give them their fake social.
That's
and then-
insane, bro. That is
I
so
mean, I
fucking
almost
My
think,
kid
like,
was
I'm
like,
joking, but I
"No,
almost think that's true. Like,
I saw a testimonial from one parent that said that on the day Charlie Kirk got shot, her child came home and said, "I hate Charlie Kirk. He deserved it." And the parent was like, "Where the fuck did you get that from?" Like that's obviously not how the parent had been raising this student. But when you're sacrificing 8 hours a day, 5 days a week to this fucking system, like you're right, they are. This is something we all certainly agree with. They are going after the kids, and we certainly do need to be present and make that fight where those kids are. But when we're having adults at the table and we're having these political debates with people that are actively engaged, we really don't need the fully grown retard. We really just don't.
Yeah, but what does that mean exactly? Because again, we have
Full
fully
grown
grown
retard.
retards teaching our kids this type of thing, like Charlie Kirk deserves it. They're all around. That's what I'm saying. Like I've seen regular left-wing people that didn't seem crazy. They're not posting anything crazy on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. But yet when Charlie fucking got the bullet, they're saying, yeah, it is what it is, but he kind of deserved it because he's racist, stuff like that. So I think that there's a lot more people that are far left than they give on, bro. And I think that's kind of
Well,
the
that's true,
problem.
but there's also some that probably just go along with it because that's the dominant
too.
narrative in their life, and they're afraid of their friends and they're afraid of their family because they get purity tested all the time. And I think personally, like, what does it mean to not let them at the table? Personally, and this is the way my channel works. We're MAGA headquarters. We don't have to talk to leftists. We don't have to do panels and debate January 6th in 2025. We just don't have to be doing this. What we need to be doing is having panels saying, what is the right way to deport all of the people that should be deported? What is the right way to implement a law that says you cannot transition children sexually, that you can't discuss sexual topics with elementary schoolers? We need to be discussing how to actually achieve the goals that we've now won the debate on. That's what I think we need to do.
That's
That's
interesting.
my point.
Go to Tyler. I just want to say, I think maybe we could do something that you're saying, Penn. Like, I'm not saying cut the lefties out, but I think that we should just now that we have the power, they used to exclude us or make us come in hostile territory and debate say we wanted to debate border control. They would just say oh, the racist Republican border policy, and then they put you in there some loaded thing. And I think we should start forcing them to play the loaded field. Now that we have panels, they want to come on, make the titles loaded. I think we should do the other thing. What were you just saying? I just lost it here. Is fuck. Anyway, Tyler, go ahead. It'll come back to me.
So I kind of want to. Grid is the only one really seeming to really fight back against this, and I'm not saying you have a couple good points. We do.
Oh,
need to
just
push back.
exclude January 6th. Say we're not going to even talk about it. Be like, all right, we're 5 years from now. Why are we talking about
You
this?
have a
So,
rule.
move on and just keep
Yeah.
going. Yeah,
That
make it a
applies
rule.
to most of the
Hold on.
issues that we're debating.
I
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
refuse
It
when I
has
go on the
nothing
panels
to do with
now.
I might be
I just-
unique because this is MAGA headquarters, and Capital One isn't going to let Bank of America into their headquarters. That's my
can be
channel. What
talking
we're going to
about
do
anything.
here.
Well, I think
But-
it's important to
anything.
relitigate. If somebody wants to
Even January
relitigate
6th is coming
Jan
out.
6, I'm happy to do so as long as they're
Well, we'll
using
send that
up-to-date
to you.
information.
Yeah. I'm sick
I
of
don't want
it.
to
Yeah,
hear.
but
I'm sick of talking about it.
who's not
I don't wanna-
retarded?
hold on.
There's
I don't wanna
like
talk about,
real,
like-
then that's
I don't
it.
wanna
Well, I hear,
talking
dude,
about
they
foreign
brought it up
policy.
the other night. I was on a
Well, no,
panel the
no,
other
my
night,
thing
and
is-
somebody
my
brought it
thing
up,
is
and I'm
this,
like,
like,
if you really
is-
want to relitigate it, let's do it.
Well, it's a tactic is the problem. I feel like we should not engage in the tactic, right? Like we go on there. If I'm talking about border security, they shouldn't be like, but January 6th. If we're talking about Russian policy, Ukraine policy, they shouldn't be like January 6th. If we're talking about, it's like a catch-all for them. And I feel like we should just be like, nope, I'm not. I refuse to even engage in this. Like, it's just like if they
but I
want
like
to
to
argue,
beat
you just
people into the dirt.
Sure,
Like,
I do too, Grid. Like nobody likes to do that more than me, but I feel like it also sends a message whenever we're debating, like, and I just go, oh no, I'm not gonna say anything more about this, and they just keep going. Then they're talking to a wall, like
It sharpens their sword.
They need us more than we need them.
It sharpens their sword. So what is the point of debating with somebody right after an election for the next year when there's 2 years till the next one? Like, what do you get from it? All you're giving them is your counter argument. Let them go into their dark little corner for a year. Let them get completely unhinged in their echo chamber and come out with some repulsive, anti-human thing. If Destiny can get the pushback on his comments, I bet you a bunch of more leftists would be cool with it. So let them do that. Let them get completely unhinged. And then 6 months before an election, 3 months before an election, that's when you let them come out and speak and just completely expose themselves. And you make clips and you make shorts and you just nuke them. And it has more impact because people
I think we should do that the whole time. I feel like let them forget. Like if you let them forget. No, you just keep hammering how evil they are. Go ahead, Todd.
Tyler, I think we need to debate the Charlie Kirk situation, and we should never let people forget that situation. Especially, we should say that the left is they're the party of violence, and we should not let people that are voters forget that. I think that's something that we need to debate with leftists all year round at least until the midterms.
But
I'm telling you, dude, this Charlie Kirk thing, this isn't something that's going to be a passing news cycle. Charlie Kirk has activated people who will vote conservative for the rest of their
trying to do more
lives.
Violence. I think that's the thing.
I don't think they understand. I don't think even we understand how much the landscape has shifted. People are so used to the pendulum swinging back and forth and all this stuff. I don't think people understand that the level of impact we almost saw Trump get his head blown off.
Well,
there's no argument
saying.
here.
Charlie
Kirk's death is activating people, and that activation is not going to last 2 years and then die off. These people are.
And we need to push on it. That's my point.
Full steam ahead, and we will, and we will. And it would shame us suck to be a leftist.
That
right
does
now,
involve getting into that space
fucked.
with these lefties. That's the thing. We need to go into these lefties and prove to the world that this is the party of violence. And trust you me, dude, we will win the midterms and we will win the next election if we press on that.
I think like by letting them go in like faster, where actually is a problem, right? Because they're gonna go faster, they're gonna have their little spokespeople that keep interacting, right? But they're gonna go in there and they're gonna start like trying a different tactic, right? Or something, right? And they're gonna keep going and they're gonna spread, and then now they're gonna come back even more radical and stronger.
But they're gonna be dumber and dumber every time in the argument.
You don't stop taking penicillin.
They're not gonna go to the fridge.
No. I think it's like an infection, right? You don't stop taking penicillin when you start feeling better. You stop taking penicillin all the way through your treatment because it kills everything. If you don't, the bacteria gets like stronger, like a resistance.
That's a good analogy.
Right? Well, I think that's what's happening with these people, right? And I think they should be exposed the entire time while we're pushing policy. I do want to ask in this last little bit we have here. Okay, what if the pendulum has swung, right? What if we've reached a different tipping point instead of a left-right pendulum? What if we've reached a point of no return on the violence, right? Because should we keep being the higher like power where do we keep doing vigils and memorials and prayer, or do we eventually respond? Or do we start asking the government to be more aggressive, or what does that look like? Because right now it's like just since Trump's assassination, we had Kirk killed. Right. We've had a whole bunch of other right-wing violence. I mean, the one right-wing violence we've able to point to is the Hortmans, right? But even just since Kirk has died, we've had, I think, 6 shootings now and a bomb placed under a car in Fox.
Correct.
All of them directly tied to lefties, no matter what they want to think or argue. And it's like, what point do we stop even not the debate and just policy? What do we start being actually like the party, like Grid said earlier in his opening, the party that's capable of real violence? When do we start doing, is there a line? Do we never get that? What do y'all think?
Can I start with this really quickly?
Sure.
Look, first off, I don't think we should be the party of violence. I think we should use policies. That's for damn sure. In fact, the whole cancel culture shit, we should use cancel culture on them. I'm 100% for it. They've been doing it to us for 10 fucking years. We should do it back. Not only that, we should prosecute our political opponents. They've been doing that to us, especially with Donald Trump. We should shoot it back because there's only so much frustration that we have when we're trying to play by the rules in chess and they're fucking making their pawn go 3 spaces up or making their queen go from one corner to the other and skipping spaces. There's a time to where we just throw the board off there and use their tactics against them. I'm totally fine with canceling them. At this point, it's a turning point, okay? Charlie's death really woke up a lot of people, and I think we should use those tactics against them and be unapologetic about it. That's just my perspective here.
Regarding the cancel culture thing, I don't even think it's cancel culture. This is literally what it means to have a reputation. When it takes one call and informing the boss of what happened, that's not cancel culture. Cancel culture is when they're getting inundated with calls, it's starting to interfere with the business, and they're like, look, I just got to let you go. I can't be dealing with this. I'm trying to make money. That's what cancel culture is. It's manufactured, and it's fake, and it's over things that aren't inherently bad. These things are literally, this is your reputation. Every single baseball team, school I attended, every single employer I've ever had has made it very clear that my activities online, I need to be prepared to go to explain that to the dean of my law school. I need to know that I'm representing whatever organization I'm working for. That's what this is. And they understand it. If you ask them about a white person saying the N-word, they'll abandon their freedom of speech argument immediately for that. But these people, they aren't playing by rules that they honor, and I absolutely.
That's why I said.
Let me give you guys a definition of cancel culture that's going to completely answer all those. Why isn't it cancel culture when you do that? Cancel culture is the hijacking of an accountability share of a general morality that we have as a country. We all agree murder is bad. Cancel culture is when you hijack that apparatus where people are fired for something we generally all see bad, and apply your political narratives to it, especially when they're represented by just a small group of the country. It's taking those mechanisms that we have in place because we want shame. We want people to be shamed. We want people to be fired from their job for saying disgusting things or being super racist or not.
That's a result of.
I'm gonna hold on. Grid, you're gonna go, and then I'm gonna do some housekeeping, and then we're gonna do closing. Go ahead.
Okay, but that's a result of the right saying, I don't give a fuck enough, right? Like we just haven't said that enough, right? It's like, well, so-and-so was really mean to me today. And he said that he called me a black man. Well, you are a black man, but it offended me. He should just call me a man. I don't give a fuck. See how easy that is? I don't.
You're supposed to capitalize the B, and now he doesn't want to.
I don't care.
And
it's funny.
It's funny. Why do we care about all of these things? And people have made these small trivial things so damned important.
You're gonna really get a kick out of this thing, Grid.
You can't actually say certain things, right? You just can't.
You're gonna get a kick out of this. So last night I'm streaming, and I'm playing Helldivers with Majin. And Majin's African-American Samoan. And he goes, I'm going to stop letting people use the word color around me. I go, well, I don't know who's using that word around you, but okay. And he goes, yeah, or a person of color. And I go, why? He's like, because it's basically short for color. And I was like, bro, what's in the name of the NAACP? He's like, I don't know what that. I was like, well, it's a National Advancement Associate or whatever for colored people. I was like, so are you going to stop following the NAACP? He's like, no. Now I have to think of it. I'm like, this is the word they chose back in the day because the other one was not politically correct, right? And now it's a different, and there's always change. And I just,
it's like feature creep. It
is feature creep, and we had a good laugh about it. He's a cool guy. He can argue and debate, and he's fun. But it's funny you brought that up now, and then whatever. But I'm gonna let y'all do closings here 1 second. A couple little housekeeping, just exciting stuff. Thank you to Jake Varr here for finding this fantastic setup for me on his show, or actually hosted a great show the other week because it got me good enough to get an invite to go do this Destiny debate. So shout out Jake Varr for that. We'll be debating Destiny next Thursday. It's gonna be fun. So. Fuck that bitch. Give Team Republican all the way. Next, I guess the Saturday after that, we'll be doing that. Me and Tyler will be on the Rotten Tomatoes. No, the Raging Tomatoes. Sitting here going and talking about should Israel should the U.S. cut ties with Israel? We're going to argue no because we like war. And then I guess what else do we got? We got all sorts of stuff. We'll be back Monday. I might have a shortened schedule next week for that. Also, guys, since we have a shortened schedule this week, the subathon. We are only at about halfway. If y'all want to see me get a spray tan and look super orange, y'all have to get another 150 subs. So y'all make it happen or don't. I don't really give a shit, but we'll see. Anyway, I think that's it. Let's start with closings. We'll go inverse of what we did. Oh, DCS Contenders Series is going to start next month, and we're going to determine our regular season champion. We have two of the people here, Tyler and Penn. I know Penn is super excited to get back in the can't wait.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. There's no retards left in the
Yeah,
series.
and so we'll go with that. Maybe he could win a championship, disappear to avoid the retards, and that would be hilarious.
I need to get it back after I lost
champion.
the poker championship to Tyler.
Yeah, well, he only won the poker championship because I couldn't give him that thing. That's
You
why.
guys are shit.
But I fucking bro. No,
You're
don't even
shit.
start. Anyway, yeah.
All
All
Okay,
I'm going to say is Orange
the most
Gibbs bad.
Scoreboard.
Speaking of, by the way, we are starting up the poker league again.
OGB.
The poker
I had
league
the-
is back in
I
October.
have the most eliminations in the league, by the way, bar none. Nobody even came
That is
close.
true.
And
You
so,
eliminated an entire table once.
yes, I did.
Yeah,
We'll
look
start
at my,
with,
you want to see my fucking trophy?
hey, I'll tell you what. I have a trophy.
It's true. He does have a trophy.
cry
Get it.
and
I paid
read.
money for it.
Anyway, let's
is
go
me
to
getting
Tom.
the money back.
Let's go to Penn. You can start us off with closings.
All
and
right.
shout out your stuff.
Fuck leftists. We don't. This is MAGA headquarters. If you want to come hang out with us, we give out very, very few hall passes to some leftists, but generally speaking, you're not welcome if you're not MAGA. So don't even bother coming over here. But if you are MAGA, come home, baby. Come on home. Come on home.
Fantastic.
That's it.
Thank you so much. And Jake could probably answer this question. They want to know where it'll be posted. I said Pangman's channel probably a few days
Yeah.
after. How long did your debate take?
Yeah, so the way it works over there is that it's going to be live streamed on Destiny's channel. So you will have an
There you go,
audience
guys.
about 10 to 15,000 people watching
Yeah.
live during the time. After the event is over, it's going to be taken down. Pangberg, Travis is going to be editing it, and it usually comes in about like 3-4 days after the event's over, and then it'll be posted on the Pangberg YouTube channel. So just
Fantastic.
FYI for everybody there. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
how
I
it
don't-
works usually.
That's small potatoes audiences. I ain't worried about that. One
But
day,
dude,
you
I'll
step
tell,
to the big leagues.
I'll tell you this. When I first got on there, bro, like I was getting a lot of people making like shitting on me, bro. At one
Good.
point, somebody said that I had a firearm in my jacket the first time that I debated Destiny. These people are lunatics.
Well,
but,
the more they hate you, the better you're doing.
Oh yeah, big time, bro. Big time. I got a lot of hate after those events, bro. But anyways, yeah, I'll shoot out with my closing statement. Guys, you can find me on Project VealPod on YouTube. I'm the host over there. You can find me over there on Rumble as well. And if you want to follow me on X or Instagram, it's JVar11 that you can just type it in, or just type in my name, Jake Varr, on any of those platforms. You'll find me there. With that being said, I will tell you this. Yes, leftists, I will agree with Penn over here. Leftists are fucking lunatics. They're idiots. It is what it is. And yes, we do need to take back the culture. I think the culture is the main thing here, is that we need to influence, especially Gen Zers, to get into the liberal arts and take back what the left has won since, in my guesstimation, would be around the 1960s. And I think that's the key component. I think culture is downstream from politics to get our policies passed. So with that being said, I'll end my closing statement.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Grid.
Yeah, guys, I'm Grid One Motorsports. You can find me at An Unreasonable Man on YouTube mostly. Also Twitch. I need to start concentrating on Twitch. I don't spend enough time over
Yeah.
there. At any rate,
join my
I
stream
will
together,
be.
you bastards.
Yeah, I will be at TwitchCon in a few weeks. We're gonna have a great time doing that. Also, if you're coming to DebateCon, I've got an event set up for that. It's going to be legit. It's going to be choice. A lot of your people are going to be there. And I host a debate show on Friday nights. It's a short format blood sport debate. Tomorrow night, now we've changed the way we're doing it. Tomorrow night, if you want to be part of tomorrow night's show, you need to hit somebody up that has my Discord so that we can put you on the card for tomorrow night. Because we're going to accept 10 entrants, and that's it. We start at 8 o'clock. Bring it. Bring the heat. Bring your notes if you need them.
How many you got filled?
Sorry?
How many you got filled already? I know you got at least 2
Yeah,
here.
I think we have like 5 leftists just from our lefty over there, just our boy.
Yeah, I brought a bunch of. Well, no. That the one girl I got from Gibbs. What the hell's her name?
We got.
That doesn't really narrow it
we're
down.
about
I'm
half
kind of
full
alone.
right now, and we still got other people that are stepping up. It's a great show. It's a great format. It's fun to watch. More importantly, if you're into debating, it is great practice because you have to think, baby. You got to think, and it's awesome. Yep. The other thing that we really do is I do shows 5 days. I do 5 shows a week. I cover a lot of news. I cover a lot of social issues. We talk about men's advocacy a lot. Talk about relationship, money, all that kind of stuff. It's a great time. I have interesting guests on occasion, so you should come check it out. And as far as this discussion goes, I think it was productive. I originally thought it was going to be kind of a echo chamber, and I wasn't really sure how it was going to go. We did have some elements of disagreement, and I actually really made. I feel like I made some salient points, but I was really impressed with some of the points the other guys made. And we all need to be aware that, look, we need the right and the left to some degree. The current state of the left is they've gone so far left that they don't even understand what they are anymore. I have no problem with the legitimate Democrat, a legitimate Kennedy blue dog Democrat. I don't have a problem with that guy, right? Like he's going to want some things that I don't agree with, but I don't have a problem because that's just a simple, that we will come together on some issues. The way it is right now, leftist will never fucking vote for anything if a person on the right endorses it. And that's wrong. Politics aren't supposed to be that way. Our entire government is ass fucked right now because the left has gone so far left that they can't admit that they're wrong. And they need to just admit it. And they just need to be able to say, yeah, you know what? You're right. We need to come back. We need to meet the right halfway on this. You never hear about the left meeting the right halfway. It's always about the right having to come across the fucking aisle to shake hands with a snake bite leftist. No. It's not how politics work, baby. It at least it shouldn't be. And so the left needs to reform itself. Until then, I consider them a disease to some degree, a pest that, needs to be tolerated and avoided. And with that, Tyler, take it away, baby.
Well, before Tyler goes to say, well, if he's got 5 lefties, Tyler, and I jump on there, that's 6. There's 4 slots left, guys. So make sure y'all sign up. What time is that again?
We start at 8:00 Central Standard Time. The only real time there is Central Standard Time tomorrow.
It's a good show. Y'all should definitely check it out. Also, Grid does the day shift. He's one of the only streamers here I think streams during the day. Watch that bullshit. It's good stuff. All right, go ahead, Tyler.
Okay, so what I want to talk about is kind of with my definition for what cancel culture is. They're hijacking a system of public shaming people for having disgusting opinions or disgusting hobbies that used to be in place. It's a social good to have in place. Now, I will say when I was younger, the religious right had hijacked that and pushed some people to the outside. I remember strip clubs couldn't even be in a city at one point in New York, and like some of red New York, if you didn't know, 2 blue places and the rest of it's all red. So, that being said, that accountability needs to come back. We need to fix that system, not throw it away because they hijacked it one time. And we need to start by punishing these people for dishonesty. Pentuple's completely right that these people know they're being dishonest. They're met with things like we just saw in chat. Farrakhan was presenting facts and quotes. It was just like complete denial. There was just no accepting it. And then I was showing hypocrisy as well. It was just could not get any concession. At some point, you have to socially isolate these people. You don't have to step into that den of snakes, as Grid was saying, and go on these podcasts that have unfair titles and some dude that's going to moderate but also argue against you and treat you unfairly because he believes in the cause that he's also championing as well. We could just do our own thing. Like, it really, you can. There's honest left-wingers. I have multiple of them in my Discord. My Discord's not a fan thing. I'm not building a community. It's all just other streamers and shit. So we can, like, pool for panels if you need people, pop in there and shit like that. But we also argue all day, and, like, there are honest left-wingers that will give you these blatantly true concessions, and they're just not getting the voice because we're allowing these people into a space. Let them go off into their corner, let them fester, let them get completely unhinged, and then right before an election, that's when you pop them for like 6 months straight and show the world this is who they actually are when it matters. Because people get numb to that shit. If you do it every day, it's just another leftist-owned video on YouTube. But if you suppress that shit, give some people some time to build the jump scare, and then hit them with the pow when it matters, you're going to have a lot more effect on elections. You're going to force these people out. Pentuple and I are starting a podcast probably in the next couple of weeks. We're still working on plans. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to kick fucking ass. You should watch it. You should watch it with the lotion and tissues because I'm going to be on it. And
I'm gonna be
other than that,
naked.
yeah. I'm gonna be on Jake's channel in a couple of weeks debating Israel. Gibbs and I are gonna be on fucking Raging Tomato debating Israel. I'm a show on Grid's Judge on Grid's show tomorrow night as well. So you're gonna see my ugly face anywhere you fucking go. Like, just deal with it.
That is true.
That's good. That's the way to do it. All right, are you Pentuple? Are you or Grid streaming after this for a while?
I'm live right
I'm
now.
staying on
Baby.
for a little bit.
All right, cool. I'm gonna raid over to you again. Thanks everybody for being here. Great panel. Y'all have a good rest of your night. We're gonna raid over.